GNCC on Racer TV returns this weekend, and it is Bryce and Neal, a perfect 4 for 4 to start the year, looking to stay that way here in round number 5. And how about it, Walker Fowler, very frustrated in the post-race interview. He called out himself. He called out the rest of the XC1 class. They've got to get up in the fight if they want a chance at this national title, let alone a race win. And let's talk Hunter Hart. No wins on the season, 1 podium, no points scored in round 4. A new round, a new race, a new location. Can Hunter Hart get a fresh start here today? It all starts right here, right now on RacerTV.com. Are you ready to go? GNCC Racer! Good afternoon and welcome to round number 5 of the 2024 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series presented by Specialized, your AMA National Championship. We are here in Monterey, Tennessee for this, the Dunlop Motorcycle Tires Old Gray GNCC. And we welcome Johnny Gallagher, man. We've had a couple of weeks off in between these rounds. Coming off the same result, though. Bryce and Neal, a perfect 4 for 4 to start the season. Does he keep that going here today?
Man, if you wanted to write a script of how to just manage a race season, Bryce and Neal has followed it to a T. I mean, absolutely. You know, the one thing left, it seemed, was to get a good start. He was able to do that at the last round, got himself out front, and just checks another win off. And it's really just starting to look like this could be the Bryce and Neal show all season. Some of these guys got to do something to stop it.
I've certainly learned my lesson over the years. I'm never going to talk about somebody.
Well, we're not going to talk about that yet.
I'm not even bringing that up, even though I kind of just did. But nonetheless, the reason I say that is you've got Walker Fowler behind him in the last couple of races, especially post-race interviews. The frustration level of Walker Fowler in himself and really kind of calling out himself and the rest of the XC1 of we've got to get up to this guy's level.
I think it would be impossible to say that what Walker's response was after that race was anything but pure frustration.
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily say, like, you're on the podium, you got second place. We don't get to sit in his shoes and feel the way he feels, and he was obviously very clearly upset with the finish of the race, with his performance, and alluded to the fact of the gap. And I think that was the big thing. It wasn't just Bryce and Neal 4 wins in a row, but he won that race by a mile.
Yes, yeah, he did. And we got to give some good shout-outs, some positives. A guy that is happy with podiums and clicking them off is Josh Merritt, who is also, coincidentally, 3rd place in the point standings. Do you think Josh is like, I'm the real deal now. I'm contending for these podiums and for top 3s. This is good. This is where he wants to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh is and should be in a great mindset. Coming into last season, had never had a podium. You know, gets that 1 podium at the very muddy John Penton last year. But last year was a solid top 5 guy week in and week out, especially in the middle of the season. And this year, it seems like he's kind of just bumped that up a couple spots. And, you know, with 2 podiums already so far in the first 4 races and 4th place in one of the 2, a very close 4th place. You know, he's proven, we've talked about it on the show, not just a guy that can get podiums, but a podium guy, seeing himself sitting there in 3rd place, kind of displacing, I think, maybe one of the other riders that we thought would be in the podium mix and in the mix for this championship. You know, Hunter Hart, it's just not been the start to 2024 that surely he was hoping for, and a disastrous DNF at the last round, and leaving him well behind in the points chase, and with only 1 podium so far through the first 4 races, it's starting to get to be do or die time.
It is. The points gap certainly pretty significant at this point. As you said, no points scored in round 4. Let me ask this. He needs a fresh start. What better place to do it than a place we've never raced before? It is a brand new track for us here at GNCC. Does that play an advantage to one of these guys that maybe, hey, I can go out and make something happen? No one's won here before. I want to be the guy.
Yeah, I don't know that it particularly gives any one person an advantage, but it definitely kind of levels the playing field. So if you're somebody that was questioning, you know, hey, you know, same type of tracks, rough, fast, kind of what GNCC is, this one appears to be anything but that. It's a new property, new facility. It's tighter, and from the the OG trail boss himself, Jeff Russell, said, you know, hey, this is like some old school GNCC racing. So maybe it'll be a guy that, you know, is just kind of more familiar with that style of racing. Could be your Wyatt Wilkin. There you go. Unfortunately for the competition, I think Bryson Neal has a lot of experience in racing like this as well, as does Walker, as do all these guys. But yeah, different conditions, different terrain. Maybe it'll be a shake-up in the results.
Hey, it could be Adam McGill, Chris Borich, maybe one of the old heads can get out there and maybe grab a win today. Let's talk a little XC2. Braxton Gross coming off a win. Absolutely sensational day for him.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a kid that, you know, whose name no one had really heard of unless you'd been out west prior to the start of 2024. Comes out, you know, very close fourth place at round 1, then wins round 2 in Florida. Struggled a little bit in the mud in Georgia, but still a solid finish there, keeping him in the points hunt, and then comes out swinging with a big win at round number 4. So he's got himself up in the mix for the championship. And Grayson Eller, another rider who was very much in the mix for, you know, race wins and podiums last year, has kind of picked up where he left off and sitting solidly in the points lead in that XC2 class, and a lot of other younger riders that are really pushing hard, trying to get up in the mix as well.
Going to be a great day of racing. Hey, we've set the stage a little bit for you. As we mentioned, you heard us talking about a new track for us. So we want to see what these guys are going to be facing today. For that, we'll throw it down to Jared Bolton with the Yamaha course description.
Well, thanks, guys. Here we are at the Old Gray GNCC. Finally, a new place. And you know what? You know what you think I'm going to say? There's a little bit of something for everybody here. Well, there's not. If you're a good, technical, old-school rider, this is the track for you. This place has a lot of rock, but guess what? When you get on the far back side of this property, there's some really good dirt back there, so it'll give you a little bit of break from that rock, but once you start back over here to the main side of the property, guess what? You're back in the rock again. So the biggest thing about this new venue is the rock. You're going to see it out there, and of course, we did get a little bit of rain leading into the weekend. It's going to make those rocks really slick. The sun's out, the track's going to come around and be really beautiful, but rocks don't really dry out so much. It takes those quite a while. Make for some interesting racing. Going to be awesome to check out a new place. Can't wait to see it all unfold. That's this weekend's track description. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Jared, for that Yamaha track description of this all-new Old Gray property. These guys are going to get ready to go out and do battle. We're going to let Mikey Waynes head down to the starting line to do some 10-second calls to get this race off and rolling. We're going to check in with a word from our sponsors. We'll be back with all the racing action live on Racer TV.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruise to sort you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call tonight. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And a good afternoon and welcome to everybody at home watching live on RacerTV.com. We want to welcome you to round number 5 of the 2024 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series presented by Specialized, your AMA National Championship. As you're tuning in here to Racer TV, it is sunny, finally, in 2024. We got the umbrellas out for shade today, and as you tune in, we are ready to meet our starting rows for the XC1 Pro Class. Big John gives me a thumbs up. Bryson Neal, the Bidwell Bullet, is ready as well. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, your starting row for the XC1 Pro Class. Riding to the line first in points out of Bidwell, Ohio, on the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, the Bidwell Bullet, Bryson Neal. Rolling to the line next, the 723 out of Rogers, Ohio, aboard the WFR GBC Fly Racing and B&R Motorsports back to Yamaha, Walker Fowler. Rolling to the line next, the number 5 out of Akron, Ohio, on an Action Off-Road GBC and B&R Motorsports back to Yamaha, Josh Merritt. And rolling to the line next, the 521 out of Waverly, West by God, Virginia, on the Over Tires, Moose Racing and McGill Mafia-backed Honda, the Gator, Adam McGill. Rolling to the line next, the 621 out of Hillsboro, Ohio, aboard the Action Off-Road GBC and Hauser back to Yamaha, Wyatt Wilkin. And rolling to the line next, looking to hit the reset button here today, the number 2 out of Newfield, New York, on a Fly Racing Ithaca Recreation Sports back to Yamaha, Hunter Hart. And rolling to the line next, the 703 out of Petersburg, Indiana, aboard the Action Off-Road Maxxis Fly Racing and Lone Star back to Yamaha, Austin Abney. And rolling to the line next, the number 8 out of Elk Ridge, Maryland, on the B&R Motorsports Kenda and Fearless back to Yamaha, Stephen Harrell. Rolling to the line next, the 712 out of Waxhaw, North Carolina, on a Phoenix Racing GBC and Pierce Performance back Yamaha, John Glotta Jr. Rolling to the line next, the number 12 out of Sunbury, Pennsylvania, on the Action Off-Road GBC and AMSOIL back Yamaha, Chris Borich. Rolling to the line next, the 714 out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on the Bulletproof Doors and Kenda Tire back Yamaha, Ronnie Rush. And last but not least, how about it, the number 9 out of Pennsylvania, on the JMR, GBC, and Elko-backed Honda, the Cobra, Jared McClure. I jumped the gun a little bit on one of those. You'll have that on the bigger jobs, they say. Got to have all our spectators back behind the white string line. If you hear a whistle, it might be directed at you. In the meantime, on the racetrack, DJ Judd jumps into the RMAX 1000, and this is where we like to say, as he puts on the sparkle helmet, that's always my favorite part, DJ Judd, remove the meat. As DJ Judd exits the starting line with the Monster Energy Activation Transport, and all eyes will go down into turn number 1, where the maestro, Ricky Towery, takes the reins of this race, and we go as Ricky goes. Bryson Neal, the Bidwell Bullet, a perfect 4 for 4 to start the season. A Wendy's 4 for 4, if you will, George. Today he goes for the Arby's 5 for 5. I don't think either of those are still a thing, let's be honest. Inflation, it's probably 4 for like 12 bucks. What a deal. All eyes focused on Ricky Towery down in turn number 1. Walker Fowler, second in points coming out of the race last weekend. Not happy with his performance. Called himself out. Called the rest of the XC1 out. Said we got to do something to get up in the fight. Build balance in-house with this weekend. Hopefully we'll get him in the TV booth. Let's get his perspective this afternoon. And now Ricky Towery lets our riders know 1 minute. 1 minute until we're ready to go. Old Gray GNCC Racing. Whole shot award up for grabs, courtesy of Canati Tires. And Ricky now steps out. He'll look down at his wristwatch. And there it is, a waving of the blue flag. Blue flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we are just about ready to roll now. Shut those machines down, fellas. And I gotta ask you, Tennessee, it's our first time here. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? Ooh, that's pretty good, and I know you're new, but you can do a lot better than that. I'm gonna ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and they're off. Oh, the number 1 Bidwell Bullet up in front, battling. I believe it's Jared McClure on the outside. Phoenix Racing Yamaha grabs the whole shot and early lead. Adam McGill stuck in the thick of it. The 521 trying to get that machine off of Hunter Hart's machine. Hunter Hart off and rolling. Now he's got his work cut out for him. The 521 of Adam McGill will now have his work cut out for him. Mercy Sakes Alive, already drama here at the Old Gray. We'll take it. XC2, 10 seconds. B&R Motorsports Whole Shot Award up for grabs. Alex Seaman, Keaton Henderson, Jeremy Ledon, Dalton Keys, Grayson Eller, Danik Packin, Christopher Howard. Oh! 259, Kenny Schick, if my eyes didn't deceive me. Grabbing that B&R Motorsports Whole Shot Award as we turn our attention now to row number 3, College A, 10 seconds. Aiden Jones, Jace Cooper, Parker Henderson, Evan Osborne, Andre Williams, Ty McGay, Caden Lambruno, Brody Lee, Jackson McBee, Jeremiah Wolf, Alec Bayless, grabbing that whole shot, the 3 of Brody Lee on the Honda out of Martinsville, Indiana. A fist in the air to celebrate. Now you just got to go do it for another 2 hours. Junior A, 19 plus. Corey Vanderlander, 34 entries in total. I'm going to have to get skinny for this one. 10 seconds. Corey Vanderlander, David Machisco, Colton Kushta, Ryan Henderson, Briggs Lazelle. I got a front row seat for that. Riley Salick, Connor Brandt, Trevor Furby, Brady Myers. 2-1-2 on the machine. That is Connor Brandt. Almost on cue, grabbing that hole shot, an early lead. Here we go, Vet A, 28 plus. Taylor Griffith, Henry Moore, Nick Davidson, Pierre Yezdenault, Michael Aldridge, Fred Marley, Cody Holcomb, Justin Miller, Cy Head, Thomas Coots, 10 seconds. Kevin Yoho, Craig Bauman, and Jared Little. 2-2-8, that's Nick Davidson out in front with a good drive. Can he turn it into a hole shot? Ryder goes down. Nick Davidson grabs the hole shot and early lead on that B&R Motorsports GBC and Fly Racing backed Yamaha. Our down rider back on the machine, gets her fired back up, gives Ricky Towery a head nod. He says, I'm good. I'm going to go find that guy that stole my lunch money, but I'm good. Senior A, 40 plus, ready to roll. 10 seconds. Dirk DeCersey, Todd Muscala, the Marlboro Man. Papa P, Jeff Pickens, Justin Short, Nathan Yates, Brian Foltz, Sean Slatterly, Chris Conklin, Jamie McCart, and Derek Hart grabbing the whole shot. I think that was Papa P. The 3:03 of Jeff Pickens on that GBC in Waynesburg Yamaha. College B, 16-18. Cameron Mahalan, Isaac Hart, 10 seconds. Jeremy Berger, Caleb Peacock, Austin Kiger, Austin Miller, Jace Thomas, Aiden Allball, Caden Scott, Jackson Carroll, Landon Ostrich, Racer Chanel, Quentin Gauker, Landon Kosler, Braden Garrett, Noah DeCersey. Check up from the neck up, but it's good enough for a hole shot. That was, it looked like the 919 of Noah DeCersey on that B&R and GBC backed ride. Junior B, 19 plus, 29 riders in total. Ready to roll in 10 seconds. Michael Ward, Jack Neely, Chris Sloan, Austin Harden, Tate Long, Pat Davis, Jackson Lutz, Garrett McCord, Benjamin Letman, Corey Zeck, Tyler Fisher, Bobby Duker, Hunter Shriver, Gavin Temple, Ramey Wilkinson, Tyler Hagan. 4-8 looked like 3-5-8 maybe. Man, that one was too close to call. Good battles throughout. Coming up next, Vet B, 28 plus, Clayton Kawasaki, Tanner Dovisick. Woo, little bottled up right there before the woods on a holding pattern. Wait on Ricky Towery's signal. Travis Mathias, Clint Watson, Leroy Grooms. Here we go, 10 seconds. Eric Murphy, Frederick Harder, Tyler Dillard, Nick Stratton, Dustin Briscoe, Christopher Strebbing, Jake Stevenson, Brent Pennington, David Darnell, Tyler Miller, William Barger, Zach Bothwell. Around the outside, no, takes it away from him, the 819 of John Higgins on that Red Bear Racing in Waynesburg Yamaha backed ride. John Higgins getting it done. He's out there stealing people's lunch money. The cruelty. Senior B, 40 plus, waiting on the signal. Shane Wirt, Greg Phillips, Martin Whitty, Mike Bowers, Ricky Lewis, Denny Carson, Ben Dunlap, Joe Dehart, Paul Gerke. 10 seconds. Russell Fry, Sean Stratton, Bobby McCauley, Forrest Cross, Aaron Delancey, Chad Wallace, and Steve Kiggins. There we go. Each machine is off the starting line. Around turn number 1 we go. 6:08 of Chad Wallace will grab the whole shot and the early lead right there. We've got absolute drama going on out front in the XC1 class. B. Neal, the Bidwell Bullet, a perfect 4 for 4 to start the season. Will he make it 5 for 5 today? All that and more got to be happening right after a word from our sponsors. This is the Dunlop Motorcycle Tires Old Gray GNCC.
take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sort you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call tonight. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Racer TV for round number 5 of Progressive Grand National Cross Country Series. We are here in beautiful Monterey, Tennessee for the Dunlop Motorcycle Tires Old Gray GNCC. My name is Jackson Burrow, and I'm alongside Zach Heron to bring you today's action. And speaking of action, stay tuned as Zach takes us through the start recap.
Yeah, thanks, Jackson. You couldn't have drawn this one up any better. Mother Nature pulls the rain out of the system on Friday, says, I'm going to give you guys some sunshine here in Tennessee on Saturday. As we take a look at the Specialized Start recap, it is shaping up to be a fantastic facility out here at the Old Gray. Let's see how things get kicked off with your XC1 Pro Class. $250 courtesy of Canati Tires on the line. And look at that. It's the big bad number 1 trying to make the move. Walker Fowler giving him a little nerf there, saying, I'm going to try to get in front of you. Too little, too late. Walker Fowler, Josh Merritt, I believe, also sneaking by into that second place spot, but all of them chasing down the number 1. Now take a look at the bottom of your screen there. That was Hunter Hart and Adam McGill getting hung up. Tough work for the number 2 and the Gator coming up the rest of these 2 hours. We take a look at the XC2 class. $100 courtesy of BNR Motorsports headed that direction. We thought it was going to be the 171 of Grayson Eller, but hanging tough, sliding up the inside. It's the 259. Kenny Schick going to hang on to it and grab that $100 from BNR out of your XC2 class. They do a little bit of shuffling, but it is still Schick leading the way into the woods, followed by Grayson Eller. That is your Specialized Start recap
here from the Old Gray GNCC, and it looks like we caught a glimpse of your leaders at the 1 mile mark. So there it is, the number 1 of Bryson Neal. Looks like that is the 5 of Merritt in second. Take a look here. Looks like that was Fowler in third. And looks like it is. So now get another look at him. There's the number 1. It's the number 12 in the second place spot. So be on the lookout for that. And we talked about this before. He's somebody that you give him a little momentum early on. He could run off with this deep into it. Taking a look at the rest of the XC1 field. So we thought that might have been Merritt jumped in there. But it is the number 12 of Chris Boric jumping up and saying, how about that? Looks like we're going to take a look at our track map. Like we said, a brand new facility out here in Jackson. We'll be touching on this all race long. That is a lot of question marks coming into this race. So many of your pros, they come in with notes prepared. They know exactly what to expect. As we take a look at the Yamaha Racing track map, what I'm expecting is a lot of tight racing. As you can see, all of that majority in the woods, right? And so tight racing, single track, not a ton of passing opportunities from what I've been told throughout the day. So maybe seeing a little Rubbins racing, a little bar banging, if you will, to try to make those passes stick here in the afternoon pro race. But all in all, going to be a fantastic race here in the afternoon.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And taking a look now at our points. Bryson Neal, he has went 4 for 4 here this season. He has 120 points. Following him is Walker Fowler there with 96, and then Josh Merritt holding on to that third spot on the 2024 points with 78 points. Zach, who is going to be able to knock Bryson Neal off of that win streak?
Well, and I tell you what, you're probably the best person to talk to about Walker Fowler. The guy was not super satisfied at the end of the race, the last round. And I said it before, I like to see it, all right? I love Hunter Hart to death, but even when things go wrong, the guy's got a smile and a lot of positivity. I like to see that raw emotion and the fire that we saw from Walker Fowler. He is not happy with second place. He's tired of getting beat, and he's trying to do something about it out here this weekend.
What can you say, man? He is ready to get the win. On screen right now, we're seeing the Bidwell Bullet, Bryson Neal, making his way through the woods. And Zach, we were taking a look at that track map. A rocky course we have here just miles up the road. There's rock quarries at each side of the road. Everywhere you look, you see rocks here in Tennessee. So I'm sure that is going to come into play here today.
Absolutely. And I'm not talking like pebbles that you're throwing with your buddies in the backyard. I'm talking big boulders. Some of them a little teeter-tottering, if you will. They kind of get off balance once you actually get on top. Some of them are so solid, they're going to move the quad before the quad moves them. So it'll be very interesting to watch the way the riders are able to manage this brand new facility. Whoa, getting a little slideways was the number 1 of Bryson Neal, and that's something else about this first lap. None of these guys have made a lap out here at the Old Gray before. Sure, they've done some cycling, but this is a bit of a sight lap as well for these guys. A brand new course here at GNCC.
And something to mention about this course, it's a muddy one. When we showed up here yesterday, a lot of sitting water for our EMTB race, and then getting into this morning, a lot of mud out on the course, but they have brushed the mud off of the course. We're down to more of a hard base, and we're starting to see possibly some dust coming up here this evening.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the key words we're being told by the podiums we've done already today, slick. All right, now in the morning it was wet, watery type slick conditions. They had a little bit of the mud on top that Jackson was talking about left over from yesterday, but now it is a hard-packed base type slick where it's actually dried up from baking in the sun all day, and you can see the riders, they get quick on the throttle, the back end picks up, the tires lose traction, and they usually step out. Taking a look at the race format, it's 9.8 miles, the track length out here today, for a 2-hour-long race. And so maybe a decent amount of laps coming through. You give us a great opportunity to see the way these gaps are going to change throughout the 2-hour-long race.
A fairly shorter race than what we are used to as far as the length of the track goes. 9-mile course, we see as much as a 12-mile course here in GNCC.
Can't forget that .8 though, Jackson. You know as well as I do, that last little bit could come down to it. We had some great racing in both the WXC and the 4x4 Pro earlier this afternoon. The stage is set. Now let's see if the XC1 and XC2 can give the same type of entertainment.
And we'd like to welcome Johnny G into the booth. Johnny, what have you been seeing?
Well, was out there for the whole shot, and I'm sure you guys already recapped that. Just made it in here to the booth, but Bryson Neal out front early, and folks, that is bad news for the competition. Already starting to pull a gap. There was a right behind him was Chris Boric on the number 12 machine, and then followed closely by Josh Merritt. Looks like, looking back there, Merritt may have moved up, and I don't know if you guys have already seen that, but it looked like he moved into the number 2 spot. But you can see Bryson Neal already opening up probably upwards of a 10-second gap just in a few short miles of racetrack. and looking like he's on rails out there. But like you guys pointed out, very slick. This is a new property, never having raced here before. No lines really beat into this place other than Drew Landers, who this is his kind of home property, had a practice track here many years ago when he was racing ATVs. Since then, it's kind of been untouched ground. So as they're going out there, we started off with our micro race this morning, and they're just trying to cut in the lines. Obviously, the track is laid out. It's all arrowed up, but the dirt was almost untouched other than a few ATVs, utilities going around and kind of marking the course itself. Now that it's starting to churn up, again, slickness coming up, some rocks starting to pop up. It is Tennessee, baby. Rocky Top, not too far from here, and you always know there's going to be some rocks in the ground, but great Yamaha racing live drone shots here early. We can see with the foliage still off the trees, the Bidwell Bullet, the #1 machine, starting to march away with this one. The more things change, the more they stay the same here in 2024. Bryson Neal out front and already starting to build a gap.
I'm glad that my eyes aren't as bad as I thought, because I knew I saw Josh Merritt up there off the start. But last camera shot that we saw with the XC1 field in it, Borich was actually sitting in the second place spot. So not sure where Merritt was at. Might have been him in the third place spot as well. But talk about intensity coming into this round. Everybody wants to keep this guy behind them. Didn't work like they thought, but we saw a little bump and little banging going into turn #1. I think the sense of urgency for the rest of the XC1 field is starting to grow.
You know, as R. Kelly used to say, I don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind, and that's exactly what was going on there in turn 2 and 3, and man, it got heated. Walker Fowler finding himself sideways, shoved into the big hay bale there, dropping all the way back to the rear of the field, and a couple of our normal podium contenders, Hunter Hart and Adam McGill, dead last and second to last after I didn't see the exchange, but I heard about it secondhand. One ATV on top of the other, some dirty looks and some gestures exchanged, nothing profane, but they were definitely not happy with each other starting that far back. On a track like this, it is going to be very difficult to pass, and we mentioned it in pre-show, we mentioned the races. What are they going to have to do to stop the Bidwell Bullet? Well, this isn't it. This is not the start that anyone needed if you're trying to stop this guy. But if you're Bryson Neal, hey, man, it's just more of the same. Get a good start, put yourself in good positions, and that exactly is what he's doing. We don't give these race wins away until the checker flag flies, but here early, the Bidwell Bullet looking very, very strong.
Absolutely. Now, touching on this brand new course, you've obviously spent plenty of time racing, coming to places. When you pull up onto a property for the first time, especially as comfortable as these guys are at a lot of our other stops, how does this change the way they approach a race weekend? They seemed a little more intense to get out on the bicycles and really start to get a look at this. Saw a few more pros hanging around for that 4x4 race to get a last glimpse at the track. How much or how many question marks are these pros coming into the season with?
Yeah, you're exactly right. We look here at mile 6, and it is the #1 machine still out front, and again, just looking like he's on rails. He's got his lines picked out. He's hitting his marks. We will finally see here, I believe it was, and it is, Josh Merritt up into the #2 spot. From the drone, it looked like he did get around Chris Borich, and that's not a huge gap there, and this is what we've seen so much early in 2024, is that Josh Merritt has just been able to latch on to, look at this, Walker Fowler already now up to the #4 spot, as that is Jared McClure there in the #3 spot, and the #4 spot, Walker Fowler. So that's big work early for him. He was outside the top 10 by a good bit. Then it looks to be Ronnie Rush there coming through. Yep. Running solidly in the top 5 early, followed by John Glauda Jr., Chris Borich. Then it's Wyatt Wilkin, Hunter Hart making moves, and Stephen Harrell there kind of just rounding out the tail end of the top 10 here at mile marker #6. But, Zach, to answer your question, coming into a new property, yeah, you're anxious to get out there on the bicycle. You want to get a lay of the land. But then, as you pointed out, a lot of these guys, when you see the ground, when you see the terrain, there's still a lot of question marks. How's it going to shape up? What's under there? You can only see the surface. There is Adam McGill again. He and Hunter Hart wrapped up there in the first and second turn, and he's got some ground to make up. But looking like he is up, moving, and making ground. So he's on the way to kind of starting to rectify things. But as I was saying, you just don't know what's under there. You got leaves covering the ground. You got dirt that you're unsure of, and you got to kind of just let it shake out. So that's why we saw so many of those guys out there during that 11 a.m. race this morning, and even the youth races, kind of checking it out, seeing how it was shaping up. And a big question that I heard a lot of the XC1 riders asking is, how much of this rock is going to come to the surface? They said there's just so much rock just under this top layer. How big are those rocks, and how much of it is going to come to the surface? And that's really going to dictate the terrain they race on today.
Well, and it's funny, the last couple rounds, it seems like we've had just these crazy deep ruts all the way across the field, the bottoms of the quads scraping as they come by in some sections, whereas here in the open section where Jackson and I was right by the finish line, it was a very hard pack, really not dug in at all. I fired the Lamborghinis up, as Jackson likes to say, headed off into the woods, and it's crazy. The one side or another, it's extremely deep. There are a lot of roots in this soil as well, but the rocks, man, it was like, I literally dug down and it was like, as soon as I moved one, two more came up. So very interested to see how things develop as we're getting our first look deeper in the woods.
So there we go. That was your leader in XC2. It was the 259 of Kenny Schick, followed by Alex Tiemann on the number 40 machine. I believe that is his number. I never get his number right, but I know he's your points leader. And then just behind him, the 171. Oh, sorry, 116. 116. Yep. Okay. That's Alex Tiemann there in second, and then it was Grayson Eller rounding out your podium positions in XC2. Now we're a mile further ahead. Bryson Neal still leading the way, and we'll see just how far back the number 5 of Josh Merritt. You know, we've talked about it so much this season already, guys. Josh Merritt just continuing to put himself in good positions, continuing to establish himself, not as I sound like a broken record, not as a guy who can get podiums, but as a podium guy. And that's his mindset right now. But, you know, getting podiums consistently, suddenly you put yourself in positions to be there battling for wins, and that's exactly what he's been doing early here. And it is still the number 9 of Jared McClure there in the number 3 spot. He's actually shaken the pressure from the 723 of Walker Fowler, and there is Fowler there in the number 4 spot. And then a little pressure from behind. Ronnie Rush, the 714 machine, he is on a mission. He sees that guy in front of him thinking, hey, this guy's won some races. I'm going to latch on and see if I can go with. Then it's the 712 of John Glada, the 621 of Wyatt Wilkin, Chris Borich, Hunter Hart, Stephen Harrell.
And guys, to go back to Ronnie Rush for a minute, running 5th, I got to listen to the Monster Energy pre-race report with Mikey Waynes and Ronnie Rush, and he was saying he was looking for a top 5, that he knew he could get a top 5, and the best finish he's had all season is a 9, so he's looking good early in this one.
You know, Ronnie's one of those guys actually winning a championship in the XC2 class a couple years ago, coming up to XC1 and just having a hard time kind of finding his feet, and it really is an adjustment for a lot of these guys. We're seeing Stephen Harrell go through it this year. Harrell kind of really managing it pretty well and staying inside the top 7 or 8 at every round so far this season, but Ronnie's a rider that just, you know, he was so on point that year in XC2 winning that championship, and he just struggled to kind of find his feet in XC1, so it's great to see him back and really fighting and running inside the top 5. Surely a big boost of confidence for him here today.
You know, we talk about it all the time, the different storylines that go along with racing. Obviously, you have somebody like Bryson Neal, who's at the top of the mountain, right? He's the cream of the crop. He seems to be on top, and everything seems to be going his way. But then you have other riders where you saw the emotion from somebody like Wyatt Wilkin finally making it up on the podium. You have the emotion of somebody like Ronnie Rush, where something even just like a top 5 is a huge notch to mark off. Say, hey, I've made it to here, get a little bit more of that confidence coming back. And so, yeah, this could be exactly what Rush needs, and he's got a great guy to hang on to in Walker Fowler.
Yeah, absolutely, and it really is just that. It's steps, it's building. You know, you come in with a lot of expectations, maybe yours, maybe other people's, and it's a whole different ballgame. I mean, each step you make up, we've talked about this so many times. You know, when you go from a C class, you go from a youth class to an adult class, you go from a C class to a B class to A class, A to XC2. Like, each step is incremental, and then it's like that last step from XC2 to XC1, it's like stepping into another planet. I mean, it's the best of the best in the world. Everybody's out to do the same thing, and that's perform at the highest level, but only one guy can finish on top, and there's only 3 spots on a podium. So you go from kind of most of your XC1 riders at one point in their career, throughout their career, were standout performers within their class, winning races consistently, you know, top 3 every week, week in and week out. Well, then when you get to the top, you know, there's only so many spots on that podium. Bryson Neal coming through that house feature there, the barn here at the Old Gray, and you can see the spectators are thick. A lot of people out here enjoying the racing action this weekend, and they're being treated to a Bryson Neal show right now.
I was about to say, yeah, we had the concert to go along last night, and now the show is all on track as we see coming through that barn. A really cool feature and unique thing here at the Old Gray, and Bryson Neal checking in and checking out. There is Josh Merritt. What do you think that hand signal was? He was just getting there, arms stretched out real wide.
Yeah, just a little stall, a little
quick adjustment.
Yep, that'll happen. But those seconds start adding up. He could see Bryson going the other way there, and we'll look back. We should be seeing the number 9 of Jared McClure, and there he is. And there's Walker Fowler back to him. Guessing we had a mistake from Walker Fowler there. And look at this, alternate lines. We'll see which one works out quicker. Walker Fowler makes the pass and up into the 3rd spot. Truth be told, looked like Jared McClure kind of let that happen. I'm guessing Walker had been putting some pressure on him in the tighter sections of the racetrack. But look at that. The 714 machine, he's running hot, and he's in pursuit. He sees a podium position right in front of him. He's not giving up on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Staying in the fight for sure. And I'm telling you what, when I look at Walker Fowler right there, I just see intensity. I don't know if he's got the snarl on his face, but you can almost see it underneath that helmet as he goes by, making the passes happen. He's not waiting on anything. He knows he has got to go if he wants to catch up to the number one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he saw what happened just 3 weeks ago at Camp Coker. Now there we see, looks like Hunter Hart has gotten his way around Chris Borge. Chris Borge taking a look back at Stephen Harrell. So a good start for Borge, just not quite able to hold the pace just yet, but he is still right in the mix if he can reset. You know, he's a guy that we know is capable of top fives. He's already done it this season so far. But yeah, Walker Fowler, he knows he cannot let Bryson Neal get away, and that's what's kind of happening right now. So you need to manage that gap. You need to figure out where he's at and do the best you can to start tracking him down, knowing full well that, you know, there's going to be some lappers coming into play. You know, Bryson right now is the one having a blaze trail, but he also doesn't have anybody in front of him, you know, holding him up, not kicking up any dust, not throwing roost at him. So he's at an advantage right now. But this is exactly what Josh Merritt, Walker Fowler, and the rest are trying to close the gap to get back to the rear wheels to not let him ride away with another win here today.
I tell you what I've heard a lot of today, Johnny, is passing is tough out there. Now, it's always hard at GNCC, but as you can see on screen, there's not a ton of room to the left or to the right to try to make a pass, especially on an ATV, as we see Josh Merritt now making his way through the through pit row. I love it, man. I love when those guys pitch it off sideways in the grass, just slideways, as I like to say. It is always so much fun to watch. But nonetheless, you can't help but wonder, as this race wears on and they start to get thick into lap traffic, how much that's going to shake things up as well. Riders getting extremely creative with some of these passing lines as we see more of your XC1 class diving back off into the woods.
Well, I don't think there's actually any question about that. I think that the lap traffic is going to play a huge part today, bigger than it even normally would. And honestly, it's just one of those things where this track, like you pointed out, one-lined, it's kind of old school GNCC. And actually, we have at least one special guest going to join us here in the booth. We're going to tease it a little bit, and we may have more. We're actually going to be joined in the booth. If you're at home, if you're watching, you got some old school GNCC fans. We have the legend, the man himself, Bill Balance, 9-time GNCC ATV champion, 68-time race winner, going to be joining us in the booth and calling the action. And he's got to love action like this because this is old school GNCC racing. You know, a lot of people will chatter online and say, oh, you know, it's gotten too fast, it's gotten away from its roots. Well, folks, this is old school. It's one-lined, it's rough, it's rocky, it's tight, but to that point, going to be very challenging when they do get into lap traffic. Again, hundreds of other riders out there racing at the same time as our XC1 pros, and at some point, Bryson Neal, Josh Merritt, Walker Fowler, all these guys are going to have to navigate their way through those lapped riders, and that will be a big factor in today's race, no question about it.
I can't help but almost chuckle as I see just a little bit of dust go by on this first lap. If you'd have told me yesterday we'd have seen any of that, I got to stop assuming, man. I tell you what, it never ceases to amaze me at the GNCCs how much the tracks change throughout the day, and that's why you see those top guys cycling even just hours before their race starts. Clearly, whatever Bryson Neal was checking out, it's working out for him out front right now. Getting a little kick there coming over some of those obstacles. But, man, he just seems – I know he's probably not at like a sprint pace. He's not wide open, but he's just hauling the mail, if you will, flying all over the place. Even when he gets kicked to the side, he seems to be able to just absorb it and keep on keeping on out front.
Confidence, my man. He is riding with the utmost confidence right now. We've seen it all season. Really saw him come into his own throughout that 2022 season when he ultimately won the championship. And then coming back last year, it was just an entirely different Bryson Neal. We saw all the confidence, just putting that ATV wherever he wants it, willing it and forcing it to do exactly what he wants to do. He's not worried about if he missed the setup a little bit. He's out there just muscling that machine around and making it look easy. He's strong, he's fast, and the biggest thing right now, confidence.
Absolutely.
He's incredibly confident.
And I'm glad that you bring up this setup. We mentioned a lot of these riders and teams are going to past year's results and past year's setup at these tracks. Do you think there's a specific track that they're maybe mimicking as far as setup goes? Is there one that you would find somewhat similar to what we see here at the Old Gray?
Yeah, absolutely. There is. Unfortunately, none of these guys raced back then. A lot of tracks that this is similar to. You want to go back into the early 2000s, maybe would be the last time we raced kind of a track with a similar layout, similar conditions to this. I mean, there's sections on racetracks that are like this, but for it to be, you know, kind of old school, tight woods racing for 9.8 miles, and that was to Jackson's point earlier, he said, you know, a lot of these races are 12 plus miles. Well, I think our lap times today are actually, we're going to see about a normal lap time because the pace is, when I say the pace, not the effort level, but the actual mile per hour is just going to be so much slower today because of how tight the track is, and it's going to give us, you know, variety is the spice of life, and this is going to be a big change in variety from what we normally see in GNCC racing. You know, sections of this track I would liken back to Steel Creek, which we haven't raced there since, I believe, 2019. But other than that, it really is just kind of its own animal.
I tell you what, good thing we got variety on the track itself, because no variety up front at the moment. Bryce and Neal, as you see, we're hanging out at the Monster Mile waiting, and there is Merritt. And man, absolutely. Yeah, I think confidence, just like you said about Bryce and Neal, it's starting to show on the number 5 as well. Every time I see him walking through the pits, it's gone from, you know, oh man, what are you going to do today? And he kind of gives me a smile and a shrug, to now it's like, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling dangerous. I'm ready to fight. Also ready to fight. Looked like that was Walker Fowler making moves towards the front. And can't help but think as soon as he catches up to the number 5, he's going to try to make quick work of him, but Merritt going to put up a fight. There are some of these, I'm not even using rock on that one. That's boulder type size if you ask me. Right there on the mile 1 marker. Catching a little bit of, there's some variety there for you. We got some of the tight racing stuff. I kept getting told about these humongous rocks. Some of our youth riders and stuff in the morning were talking about how crazy they were, and you could see, look like a little bit of throttle control, maybe not quit hitting it quite as fast was Bryce and Neal through the rock section.
Well, there's a lot to be said there, Zach. I mean, you don't want to come in there just full charge. You're liable to put your machine in a bad line, tear up equipment on the machine. But you can see Walker Fowler right now, full send. He was over 10 seconds behind Josh Merritt, and he is closing the gap rapidly. I think the next camera shot, we're going to see him all over the back of Josh Merritt, whereas Josh Merritt was 30 seconds behind Bryce and Neal when they checked in at scoring just 1 mile ago. That gap continuing to open up. So 30 seconds was the gap for Bryce and Neal as they completed lap number 1. Now here comes the rest of the field.
Looking like
Ronnie Rush there, still in the top 5, but now he's got heavy pressure from John Glada Jr., Wyatt Wilkin, and here comes the number 2 of Hunter Hart. We've talked about it so much, needing to get himself into a podium position to try to maintain himself in this championship battle, and this is a good way to get started. He's on a charge right now.
Yeah, talking about coming into the round with a chip on your shoulder. Hunter Hart having bad luck at our last race. Like I said, I got to give the guy props. Doesn't make excuses, doesn't like to whine about it. Says, hey, it was one of those days. Let's move forward. Let's get ready to go race at the Old Gray. Had some tough luck out of turn 1. It is what it is, man. Your work's cut out in front of you. Let's see what you're able to do, and has already made several passes cutting into that XC1 field.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. You got to make the most that you can of it. Hunter Hart already up into the mix. Adam McGill, you can see him just now coming on screen. They kind of were wrecked together, but maybe something wrong with McGill's machine, but he needs to get a move on if he wants to get up there in the fight.
It's a new story on the track, but the same story out front. Bryce and Neal trying to bring it home. We're going to get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back to the Old Gray GNCC.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda tires, delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles: automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Bill Balance didn't want to do it the way everyone else did. And because of that, he ended up changing an entire industry. Balance, a shy farm boy from Kentucky, battled to the top of Grand National Cross Country Racing on a Yamaha 350 Banshee, and he quickly rose through the pro ranks to be a contender for race wins. Balance wasted little time taking the ATV mantle, winning the 2000 Grand National Cross Country Championship and establishing the same level of domination once held by 7-time champion Barry Hawk. Balance became an unstoppable force. By the end of the 2003 season, when Balance would collect his 4th straight title, production 450 4-stroke machines had exceeded the level of the old 250 2-strokes. So Bill grabbed an all-new Yamaha YFZ 450 and kept on winning at the same old clip. In 2004, Balance joined factory Yamaha and built his own team named Balance Racing. That's when he developed into a leader, a funny, outspoken spokesperson for the brand. And Bill would ride Yamaha's next generation YFZ 450, the perfect out-of-the-box racing machine. He also kept winning titles no matter the challenge. In 2005, Balance broke his leg during a photo shoot crash. Incredibly, he showed up at the next race at Unadilla and finished 2nd in extreme pain. It was enough to earn his 6th straight GNCC title. By then, Hawk's seemingly unbreakable record of 7 straight titles was in reach, and Balance broke it in 2006. He added the 2007 and 2008 titles, establishing a new record of 9 straight. By the time he retired in 2010, he had won more Grand National cross-country races than anyone in history. The shy farm boy from Kentucky will forever be known as one of the biggest names in the history of ATV racing.
Well, how's that for a history lesson? Did Jason Wygant nail that one, Bill Balance, for you?
A little better than he probably should have, in my opinion.
Well, first of all, an honor to meet you. I was talking to Johnny Gallagher prior to today's race, and I said, anybody who's anybody that's been around off racing, quite frankly, I don't care if you're on a P-Dub or you're a vet in the series, you know the name Bill Balance, if nothing else. So it's kind of nice for the folks at home that maybe haven't seen some of those highlights to get a little taste of just how incredible you were and you are.
Well, I mean, I hear that all the time. It's just, I was talking to Walker before the race here, and he's got several championships under his belt now. And at the time, you don't see all that. And Johnny was in the trailer. We was talking some, and at the time, you don't see it. You're just so focused on what you're doing, and one of the things we was talking about was being able to have fun with it because the pressure gets on. You start winning your championships, and the money starts coming in, and then it's, getting these sponsors and achieving this, and as time goes on, we all set our own personal goals. And when I started out, to be honest, I never dreamed of being a champion. Yeah. Just to be out there in the mix was my dream, and to be able to get out and do it for a living, and then win the championships that I did, I'm very grateful for it today. And, it's even today, it's been almost 15 years since the last time I raced. And I look back on it, and it's still the memories that I had through racing stick with me today, and it's some of the best years that I had in my life.
I love that. Johnny, this has got to be cool for you, right? I mean, it's cool to me because it's like, I finally get to meet Bill Balance. But for you, Johnny, you were out there racing with the man.
Yeah, I mean, Bill has always been a good friend and was a huge mentor to me early in my career. I mean, I couldn't even say the percentage, but 95% of everything I know good about racing came from this guy right here. I mean, he was just tough as nails, crafty as they come, had a passion for the sport, and was able to turn it into a great run of 9 championships, 68 wins. The only racer ever in history to have an OEM ATV named after him. I mean, the legacy, the legend, the list of accomplishments is too long to even touch on. Just honored to have him in the booth, and honestly honored to have him back at the races. 2015, the last time you were at a GNCC?
Yeah, other than coming and playing around in the Yamaha 1000 side by side when it came out a time or two. But yeah, just actually the first time I've actually been able to be here and be in the pro pits and catch up with everybody and stuff like that. So it's been really good.
Well, we got to put you on the spot. What's the same and what's different? What do you see when you pull in? What's it like? I mean, not even likening it back to, obviously we know what it was like when we started. Pickup trucks, a small field, a few hundred people. Now we've got all this, but what's it look like from your perspective?
It honestly felt like from the last race I left, however many years ago it was now, to pulling back in, it was just like a week had gone by.
Really?
To see it all,
love that.
It's the core part of it and the thing that makes GNCC racing, the special part is still the same. There's, tracks have changed and venues changed and some things like that do. The top riders, they're, different now, but the core part of GNCC racing, what makes it special, what I fell in love with it when I was a kid, sitting in school and dreaming of getting out there one day, all that's still the same. And it's, I don't see that ever changing. So hopefully, the Coombs family, they've done so much with this to bring it from where it was way back when to now, and it's still going. That's my hope, is that another 10 years, another 20 years, that we are able to still find places to go, because we know those are going down, and that there's enough people with enough passion with the racing to keep this going on, because it is something special. There's not a lot of your kids out there today playing basketball or football or whatever else, and sometimes it's racing, an ATV or a motorcycle. That's their dream, and they've got to have a place to do it.
Well, it's pretty cool for, to us, we've been here the whole time, but to see you come back and say that so much of the core values of GNCC, the family aspect, the ideas of young kids with dreams. You were a young kid with a dream one day and smashed all those dreams. I mean, no question about it. You have to admit, exceeded all those, and then, seeing on screen the guys that are leading right now. Obviously Walker Fowler, a Balance Racing team rider early in his professional career, but Bryson Neal, when you were last here, was just coming out of the youth ranks, an amateur rider, maybe in the A class, and now he's up here with 2 championships. So things do keep moving along, even though the spirit and the feeling of everything is the same. Like you said, new faces, new riders, and look at these guys. John Glauda Jr., he's 7 foot tall now. Last you saw him, when you were here last, he was just a kid. Hunter Hart, same thing, a youth rider last you were here. Now these guys are guys with number 2 and number 5 and top riders up in the mix. So it's definitely cool to have you back here. We hope you stay with us a while, call some racing action. We did have a second place change. Walker Fowler has gotten around Josh Merritt up to the number 2 spot, looking like that gap still around that 32nd. Now it's Ronnie Brosh having lost some ground. He was up there running solidly in a top 5, dropping back now to about the number 8 spot. Jared McClure also dropping back, and here comes Stephen Harrell on the charge, trying to look like he wants to displace Jared McClure even one more spot.
But let me ask you something. You're a guy who's got obviously a lot of wins under your belt. Bryson Neal is clicking them off. He's moving up the all-time wins list. Obviously, Chris Borge still racing. Walker Fowler, all his wins. How do you continue to go out week after week, race after race, and have that challenge in front of you to continue that success? Obviously, winning never gets old, but it certainly doesn't get any easier.
No, it doesn't. As time goes on, we all get older. The mind stays 18 years old, but the body gets older.
We never mature after that. That's it. That's the tip of the iceberg.
Wait, you're 8. I'm still 16.
But I think the drive is just, it's for somebody that gets attached to this sport. A lot of the people that, they do it for fun, or they come out and do it for 2 or 3 years, and they'll miss a year or 2. But the guys that really get wrapped up in it, that natural thing inside that just draws you to it, that competitiveness. It's when I won my 9th championship, I remember thinking, Barry's, if I could just tie Barry's record, and then it was, can I get one more and beat Barry's record? And then I got one after that, and it's like, still after 9, I was as hungry to go out and try to get my 10th as I was my first. So, it's Walker. He's had an amazing career, and today, he's got one thing on his mind. He wants to get back out there, get everything back to go. He's gone through a lot and a big injury, but he's coming back. He's got some age on him, but it's like I talked to him today. if he wants it bad enough, the right kind of training and the right drive, he can be right back to where he once was. And he still got that fire. And that's one thing that I wanted to see from him was, is that fire still burning? And it was. So that was good to see.
We saw that in his post-race interview.
That's true.
3 weeks ago.
And
a little fire would be a word for it.
Fire's a word for it.
Yeah.
And some of that today, and it was the first time, he was a little groggy, so I don't know if he's got maybe allergies or something, or maybe he's just lost sleep because he's trying to figure this thing out. But whatever it was, there was something about the Monster Energy pre-race report, talking to Walker Fowler. There was like a focus I've not seen in him in a very long time, and he kind of had a swagger about him, like, I want a piece of Bryson Neal, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get it today. I asked him, I said, I know Bill Balance is out here with us today. Do you feel, not necessarily added pressure, that's not the right word, but kind of an extra motivation to come out and perform in front of a guy that you looked up to? And he said, yeah, absolutely I do. And it's motivated me that much more to get up there in the fight with Bryson.
And you can't take anything away from Bryson. Bryson has come up the right way, the hard way, and he's earned his spot through the years and all the, he was at the point just a year or two. Brock, one of the guys that used to work with us on the Yamaha team, he was with Bryson for a couple of years there, helping out and doing some stuff. And Bryson was at a point where he just put everything he had in, and he's like, if I don't get it this year, I think I'm done. Yeah. And that was the year everything turned around for him. And so he's put his work in, and that's proof of it right there today. You see what he's doing and what he has been doing. So it's not going to be easy. If Walker wants to get out there and get a piece of that, he's going to have to man up and really swell up to go out there and get that, because he's on his game. Bryson is pushing the pace. He's at the top of his game right now. He's got all the confidence that he needs. Everything's working, and he's showing it just out there today. So it's not going to be easy for Walker, but I was glad to see the fire there, because it might not happen this race, it might not happen the next race, but I do believe that before the end of this season, you're going to start to see those two guys really duke it out.
And to that point, Bill, a lot of times here in the booth, we get accusations of having favorites or any of that. What we want to see, and I'm not speaking for you, but myself, Mikey, the rest of it, we want to see good racing.
Exactly.
We want to see wheel to wheel. We want to see, passion. We want to see the guys gritting their teeth and hunkering down late in the race to give it everything they got. And man, did we get treated at round 2 and round 3. Yeah. Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler just absolutely toe-to-toe. We obviously also love the stories. Josh Merritt coming up, I don't want to say out of nowhere, obviously, number 5 from last year, but he's been making those incremental jumps. And to see that kind of evolve, to see it on screen, to be able to watch it, I mean, that's another thing we haven't even touched on yet, to be able to watch all of these races live on Racer TV. How much do you actually sit home and do you get to watch the races? Do you follow the reports afterwards?
Actually, I'm on the farm and I'm busy, but for this season, I've only got to miss one. I was right there. I was able to take an hour off, 2 hours off, get in the office, turn on the computer, pull it up, watch the race, and then go back to work. And I try to watch them and keep up with it. And even if it's a time where I can't get out there, I'm out there working. As soon as the race is over, I'm texting or I'm calling, trying to figure out what's going on, who did what, and all that stuff, trying to keep up with it. Because it's I've been out.
Whoa. Hey, I don't mean to cut you off, Bill, but I just caught inside 20 seconds now. Walker Fowler and Josh Merritt have hooked up, and they have pushed that all the way down. We saw it was 30 seconds, and Bryson Neal had opened up even more at the 1 mile marker. Now it looks like it was right at 19 or 20 seconds. Walker Fowler and Josh Merritt on a charge, starting to close that gap to Bryson Neal. But how cool is it to be able to see this? If you're at home watching, you're getting to see this. And one thing I think, we've talked about this before, maybe not on the show, but you have these career trajectories. Obviously, when you were younger, Barry Hawk was the man. He was the guy you were trying to take down. Barry trying to take down Bob Sloan. And it's rare that we get to see, for maybe more than a year or so, these career trajectories overlap, where it was kind of like when Chris Borich took over. Obviously, you had your injuries, you had some other complications, and you continued to race there for a bit, but just not at the same competitive level, not able to battle for those wins. Obviously, Chris Borich having only, I believe, 2 wins since he lost that championship in 2015 and Walker took it over. So to see Walker potentially be able to come back, and even if it's not on paper right now looking like a championship battle, that 2 out of the 4 races so far, he's battled Bryson Neal down to the end. We're seeing this extended. He took that championship in 2022. Here we are 2 years later in 2024, and these are still 2 titans just throwing, heavyweights, throwing blows at each other, giving everything they got. Right now, Bryson Neal having the upper hand, getting more punches in, but Walker Fowler doesn't look like he's on the ropes just yet.
No, it don't. And that fire we've just talked about, you can see some of that. To close that gap in with the way Bryson is out there riding today, I promise you, he's wanting to win this thing.
Yes.
Not just for the personal win, but, you know, that's what pays the best. He don't want to battle with anybody out there today. But looking back on it, through my racing career, the battles that I had with Hawk, the battles that I had with Borch, the times, the years where things were real tight and it was just always down to the nitty-gritty, those are the times that a racer misses the most. You know, I've had times where I've got out there and been able to run away from a race. I don't remember too much about those, but those, it's a battle, and to watch it now as a fan, and I'm at home, sitting in my, you know, I get off my tractor or combine, whatever, get in there to sit down. I want to see this thing battled out, you know. You know, seeing this guy out here run off and, you know, do his thing, nobody around for a few minutes, that's one thing. But to get out there and see that intensity, that's what we live to see, no matter what it is. And I think we're probably going to be seeing some more of that.
And, you know, to that point, so you're saying you missed the parts when you were pulling your hair out. You missed the parts when you were losing sleep. You know, the easy wins, those just weren't enough fun for you? Is that pretty much what you're telling us?
And honestly, some of the easier wins, I mean, I might remember things about them. There's times where I had won a GNCC at a certain time and everything went my way and some second place guys got, you know, had some bad luck and I might have won by 6 or 7 minutes. And I can remember very, very few things about those races.
Hey, I don't mean to chop in on you. Josh Merritt missing. Was right on Walker's rear wheel, just a camera shot ago. No more than a minute or so ago, has lost big time to Walker Fowler. Still solidly in that third spot. There he comes by, no alarm. If you're the Merritt crew, he appears to be moving, but a big mistake. Something transpired there, because now look how close that is. Oh, that may have been a lap for the rider. Couldn't tell for sure. We haven't really seen any lap riders. Looked like it possibly could have been Wyatt Wilkin, could have been John Glauda Jr. Couldn't tell from that shot. May have been John Glauda there in the number 4 spot, much closer to Josh Merritt. We'll wait and we'll watch. We're here at the 7-mile marker. We know Wyatt Wilkin, Hunter Hart, Stephen Harrell, John Glauda Jr., all those guys still in the fight. Jared McClure showing in 4th on screen has actually dropped back a little bit. We do know that the running order changed up. Walker Fowler up to the number 2 spot, Josh Merritt back to 3rd. As we were coming to this camera shot, I was literally ready to say Josh Merritt has latched on to Walker Fowler. And so no, there is John Glauda Jr., there is Hunter Hart, and there is Wyatt Wilkin. So I believe that was a lapped rider. It had to have been. Nobody else missing from the mix there as we look at the running order when they checked in. So I think Josh Merritt still with a very, very comfortable gap over 4th there, but he did lose the toe, and that's the important part. Yeah. You know, he was right there with Walker. It looked like he'd actually closed up the gap a little bit, and now it's a big gap of probably upwards of 20 seconds or so, I'd say. So I don't know if he tagged the tree, bad line, got stuck, whatever it may be. Something transpired there, and now he is all alone in that 3rd place spot. So now it's the race of the stopwatch. Can Bryson Neal open up the gap? Can Walker Fowler close it down? Can Josh Merritt put in a push to catch both of them? We are being told it will be a 4-lap race. So this is old school GNCC racing, and that, to that point, Jackson earlier pointed out 9.8 miles. A lot of people would be thinking, and they even made mention in the pre-show, a lot of laps here today. Nope, because the pace is slow, the mile per hour is slow, it's tight, it's technical, it's bar banging, tree smashing, getting your way through, and it's, you know, instead of, we've seen mile per hour averages of around 20 mile per hour on some of the faster tracks. This one going to be at least a few miles an hour slower.
It was interesting doing that pre-race report today, talking to the guys in the different perspectives. You had guys like Chris Borch, guys like Adam McGill really stoked about today because they're like, this is old school. It is all woods, very, very little to no open field section. And then the younger guys were like, it's really tight. I don't know where I'm going to make a pass. I don't know how I'm going to do today. I just better get a good start.
You know, and it's funny, Mikey and Bill, you can weigh on this also, but I can tell you, like, throughout my career, obviously, I saw such a change in the venues, and we've talked about it. We beat it to death. I mean, several thousand racers here this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to have completely different venues, completely different facilities, and completely different tracks to accommodate that. That said, I'm as old school as they come. I didn't prefer these types of tracks. I forced myself to like them because you got to have a good mindset coming in, and I would do okay at them. But man, I love the fast, rough, like, you know, just kind of grip it and rip it, as Bill would have said back in the day. Like, you just got to want it. You got to be willing to hang it out. These tracks, they're thinking tracks. You got to hit your marks. You got to be smart. You got to be right on precise lines, and it's just different. There's not as much physicality to it. It doesn't come down to as much fitness. It's more just smooth and technique. And so Josh is looking like he's still clipping along pretty well. But yeah, now it looks like Walker actually has a bigger gap on Josh than Bryson has on Walker. So he's kind of there in the middle, and Josh Merritt surely looking like he's looking for a pit board to tell him, how much of a gap do I have in the guys behind me? What do I need to do? But again, this is a podium guy running at a podium position. We've seen so much of this so far in 2024. Bill, what was your preference? Did you like as the tracks got faster and rougher, or did you like them tight and gnarly and rocky and technical?
It was different. There were some places we used to, you remember going up to Mount Morris, PA.
Sure.
And it was what we considered back then a really fast track. We usually had some motocross in it, and I loved that place. And I could get a good flow there. But then we'd go to something else that would kind of favor this a little bit. The rockier ground, the twistier, turny trails, the beat-up, choppy, tight stuff, and we would experience that some at Loretta Lynn's, and I have to say that was probably my all-time favorite place to go race.
There you go.
So, it's just different places and terrains. I don't know if I could say that I preferred one or the other. What I could say for sure, is I like to be able to go to the track and get out there and walk around and find little bitty lines, little bitty things that you could find places to pass. I hated to go to a place that was one line and didn't allow much racing. But and that's something that I think maybe here they can find a little bit more, because it's a virgin place. It's not ever had a GNCC race on it. So there is probably a few more lines out there, and if these guys if they do get together with each other, you might actually see some back and forth if they've got some lines in their back pocket, that they're holding out, trying to use for a pass on the last lap or something. And a lot of times you don't get to see that sometimes with some of the races we go to now, because it has gotten a little more one-lined and fast.
And, Bill, something you pointed out there that the viewers at home are probably thinking to themselves, what do you mean you went out there and walked around?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you just e-bike it? Well, that's one of those things that is definitely different from, the earlier days of GNCC racing, where there were a few guys that would go out and pedal on a regular bicycle, pre-e-bikes, or walk the entire track. But by and large, we kind of all came to the agreement that, like, hey man, walking 13 miles the day before the race, it kind of wears you out. So we're going to go ahead and, walk some sections, figure out some lines, and try to get like you said, some good lines, get spots for passes, check out if there was a potential bottleneck or technical section. But by and large, it was really just kind of walking around, like I said. Now, a lot of these guys, I don't give away secrets, but some of these guys have more than a lap on this track before the race starts. They're going out. You could do it 2-3 times in a day, burning very few calories and very little effort on an e-bike.
Yeah, that's something that's really changed, and I would have liked to have had that back in the day when we were out walking some of these 10 and 12 mile places and getting jello legs the night or day before the race was. But it paid off, because to get out there and find, if it was just one place you found that give you the opportunity to pass from third to second or pass for the lead on the last lap and win a race, I mean, it was worth it. You go out there and spend 4 or 5 hours walking the track, but if you found a little spot, you're only allowed, GNCC rules only allow 15 foot, I think. 25.
Yep.
And
it was 15 at one point.
And they enforced that. So you had to be careful. You had to know what you was looking at. But sometimes it was a little corner. Sometimes it was jumping off into a creek or bonsaiing over a rock or something like that. But just something that you might not even, sometimes it was a little bit sketchy even. But to go for a win when you're in second place, it might be something you'd pull the trigger on. But what I've liked seeing here as we're watching this and we're talking is, we was talking about Walker and Merritt got away from each other a little bit, and everything that I'm seeing so far with them. Neil, he's out there. He's got that same pace he started with. He's doing everything he needs. He's hitting his lines. He's staying smooth. But you can see the charge every time that Walker comes through. You can see that he's trying to push, and the fire, he's got intensity right now. So I would like to have seen this a 5-lap race. To be honest with you, I think it'd been a little more to watch, but we'll see what happens.
Let me tell you something. We've got this handy-dandy thing over here, Bill. This is our live scoring. We've got not only a lapse time and lap times, but we've got the gaps. And let me tell you what we're looking at here. With 1 lap complete, there was a 30-second gap back to second place rider of Josh Merritt from Bryson Neal. And then as we go to this lap, you would say, okay, well, it's not that much difference. 27 seconds back to Walker Fowler, but here's the difference. So he's only lost 3 seconds on his gap. When you look at lap times, remember, Walker Fowler was not in second place at the completion of lap number 1. It was actually Josh Merritt. So lap times, 30:15 for Bryson Neal, 30:02 for Walker Fowler. So 13 seconds faster that lap was Walker Fowler. He does that one more time, he's within sight of Bryson Neal. Again, if that can happen, but make no question, surely Bryson Neal's crew is giving him pit boards that say, hey, the 723 is coming. We actually heard it on the podium at Georgia. He said, I looked back, I saw the 723, and I thought to myself, uh-oh. So these two, tons of respect for each other. They know, if you're hitting your marks and you're riding well and somebody's coming up on you, and you look back, and I'm sure if it's Walker seeing it's Bryson or vice versa, that's the last guy you want to see back there.
Oh, for sure. It doesn't matter. When I was racing, it was Sports, or it was Barry, or it was, whoever else, Matt Smiley, any of those guys. And everybody from race to race has better days than others. Sure. And there was times that I have to admit, I wasn't the fastest guy out there, but I would have to latch on to somebody and do everything I could to try to stay with that guy to the last lap. And, that's the competitiveness in it. And
it sounds like, some troubles for the 703 of Austin Abney, and I believe we've got Zach Herron down in the pits with Austin.
Hey, guys, we're down here in the pits. Austin Abney, not where he is wanting to be, man. I see you got the dogs out. Things clearly went wrong early in the race. Take us through what happened.
Yeah, we got not the best start there, and we were pushing, made a pass, and went to hit my rear brakes. I had nothing. I had rear brakes, but there was a stick stuck up there preventing me from hitting them. So I pulled a bonehead move and was trying to use my leg to slam down on it to get it to break free, and the only it broke, I think, was my leg.
That is not what we want to hear at all, man. And you were really looking forward to this. We were just talking a second ago. Track looks optimal out there. From a spectator's point of view, what do you think the riders are going through right now?
Yeah, I'm super bummed. This track's new. Conditions are perfect. Track layout was awesome. I got to do one lap, man. I just tried to get to the finish. I really wanted to continue, but we got to be in the top 20, and I was nowhere near that. My leg's hurting and throbbing now, so we're just going to sit here, get home, assess the damage, and hopefully we'll be back. But if not, we'll see everyone in Indiana.
Tough luck, man. Wish you the best of luck. We'll be on the lookout for the update. Austin Abney not going to be able to finish this one.
Oh, not a good sight for the 703 of Austin Abney, but hey.
Oh, look at this. Chris Borich being towed back. Chris Borich done for the day. He is hooked to one of the track crew machines and being towed back. He has torn something up on that machine.
So now Borich heading back to the pits. Boy, things not looking good out there. We're dropping ATVs. We don't like that. Nonetheless, we've got a great battle out in front. Bryson Neal trying to stay perfect. A 5-for-5 Walker Fowler trying to chase after him. And that man right there, Hunter Hart, trying to just get back up in the mix. See if we can make it happen. We'll be right back, giving a word from our sponsors, and be back with more from the Old Gray GNCC.
Commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great. Made by champions, for champions.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
30 minutes and 2 laps. Let's go racing. Full contact. Look at that lead. Down to the inside.
Podium's here. I don't think any atmosphere can match it. Nothing quite like pro motocross.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 laps, the main event, the mud, the blood, the beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. Because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Mikey Waynes alongside Johnny Gallagher, the Bill Balance, Zach Heron been out and about, and Jackson Burrell out and about as well. Right now, we're going to take a look here at our Specialized Turbo EMTB GNCC Racing, kicking off their season last night. And what turned out to be kind of a rainy day. We didn't expect it to be rainy, but it is what it is. And the boys got to go out there and have some fun. XC1 class, that is the man right there, Cypress Gorey, rocking that number 1, your defending champion, coming out and defending that. Going to work. And I got to tell you, if you've not raced in the EMTB series and you want to give it a shot, I'm telling you, there's a class for you. There's XC1, there's XC2, XC3, and there's youth, there's WXC, the women's pro class. There's Gunnar Sjogren rolling through right there. Solid dude. I think he's running the XC3 class this year. And some of our women's pros ripping through. Johnny, you've raced this.
Yeah, I have. I've done quite a few, and it's a great time. It's the only form of racing where you can be out there and your heart rate can be pegged and you can have a conversation with the person that you're racing against. No engine noises, so it's a pretty wild experience, but a lot of fun. Folks at home, if you're watching, if you have an e-bike, come on out, race it. If you don't, we've got Specialized set up here, as well as several other brands that go online, check them out. But Specialized series sponsor, and they're here on site with bicycles that you can buy and go straight to the racetrack. They're race ready, and man, it's a great time. If you're coming to GNCC races anyway, get out there, get in the mix. If you don't want to, you have to buy an ATV and get it all set up. E-bike racing and a lot of kind of analog bicycle people starting to get into it as well. There is Ashley Hendershot, our WXC class winner. Some other riders working their way through. And as you mentioned, Mikey, the conditions not ideal last night, but nonetheless, so much fun was had. 4 p.m. race yesterday, and they were getting it in. It was chilly, it was rainy, it was wet, it was sloppy, but Cypress Gorey once again taking the win, our defending champion. And yeah, it's just it's a great time. And like I said, to be able to race and battle and have conversations while you're racing is pretty interesting.
No doubt. And now we've got Jackson Burrell standing down by the barn. What do you got for us, Jackson Burrell?
Yeah, thanks, Mikey. I'm standing down here at the barn, and man, what a section we have here. The riders get to physically go through the barn, but what you can't see on the TV about this cool and unique section is just how rough the track is getting on the exit of the barn. Then they'll have a few feet of good, solid, hard, dry ground, and then they'll dive back into a very technical section where there's a lot of trees, and where there is trees, there is roots, and the roots are really starting to show themselves here today, and that is going to be a very technical section of the track as this develops on, Father. There's 2 lines. There's an inside line that most of the riders are choosing to take, but things are really getting beat up down here on the course. Back to you guys.
We're going to call that the Burl Barn.
The Burl Barn. I like it.
It's the Burl Barn now.
I thought it was the old gray barn, but not anymore.
that works.
It's the Burl Barn.
The old gray Burl Barn.
Jackson Burl down there. Our man, Jack, on the scene. He's down there, and he's letting us know. And we did actually see that two-line section that he was just talking about coming to play already. That's where Walker Fowler made the pass on Jared McClure to take over the third-place spot. And, it's not a lot of split-lane opportunities, so when you have them, you got to make the most of them. But as he pointed out, the route's coming up. Again, it's not mature ground. It hasn't been beat up. It's virgin, what we call virgin ground. It hasn't been chewed up, beat up. And once you get out there, you kind of take the top layer off. You get down to see what's really under there. No more leaves, no more grass.
Yeah.
And the dirt's surprisingly good here at this facility in Tennessee. Yes, there's a lot of rock underneath, but the topsoil is, as you can see by the lush green grass all around the facility here. Beautiful concert venue. We had a concert last night. I believe another concert tonight.
Yeah.
So plenty of entertainment while you're here. But yeah, it's unassuming. When you're standing here in the field, you walk into the woods and it gets downright gnarly.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, Johnny. What is the kind of the mindset of a pro rider? Bill, you can weigh in on this as well, of going to a new property we've not raced before. You don't have the years of experience going there and knowing what to expect. Not to mention, not just a new track. We've not raced in Tennessee in a number of years, so you've got different soil, different kind of terrain. How do you approach this as far as your suspension, your tires, all of that?
Well, you try to get a little bit of feedback from the track crew that sets up the stuff, and you talk to people that's in that area and try to get an idea of what kind of terrain there is. And you for the most part, we cross-country GNCCs, everybody changes the setup a little bit for Florida. And then you might have something a little bit for your rock and mud, and then you have something for dry. But, you do suspension tests. And looky here what we've got going on. Johnny was just pointing that out. Walker has really closed the gap.
1:13.30. It is down to 14 seconds.
That's a man on a mission.
He has made
right
up
now.
13 seconds in 4 miles of racetrack. And I'll tell you what else I saw in that shot. Bryson Neal, suddenly, sense of urgency.
Yep.
It was no longer smooth. It was no longer calculated. It was throttle the stops. Walker Fowler's coming. It doesn't matter who it is.
Sure.
Somebody's coming. My gap is getting smaller. This doesn't happen to me. That hasn't been happening. It's happening right now, and he's reacting. He's putting a push. We'll see if he's able to stabilize that gap and hold it at 14 seconds, or will Walker Fowler continue to be able to chip away at it? Man, we may get to see some bar-to-bar racing action for the win yet today.
We'll see a white flag, and then we go to war. I'm into it.
Man, this is exciting.
Finally, let's do this.
I'll tell you what, the heart rate just jumped up. I was chilling here at about 54. Suddenly it's 155, baby. Let's go. Here it looks like Josh Merritt working his way through still solidly in that third place position. And this is one of those things we talked about. Josh Merritt may have made a mistake. He lost some time, whatever. I'm sure Josh would be a little bummed, disappointed, because it looked like he was set up perfectly. He was right there on Walker's grab bar. And honestly, he looked comfortable. He didn't look like he was riding above his limits. He looked smooth. He looked comfortable. He was right there behind Walker Fowler. And then the next camera shot we saw, he was about 40 seconds back, Bill. But talk a little bit about, the learning process. We've talked about it so much over the years. It's incremental steps. You got to kind of find your pace. You got to find your flow. Josh Merritt going from a guy, kind of a 10th, 11th, 12th place guy just a couple years ago, still solid performer in the XC1 class, but last year, a bunch of top fives, his first of his career, strung them all together, 4 or 5 of them in a row, and then comes out this year, opens up the season with the podium, a very close 4th place finish in Florida, a little off in Georgia, mud race, not quite able to, hold, I'm sure, where he would like to have been. Look at this, tons of smoke coming off the number 2 machine. Hunter Hart doing a little mosquito fog in there. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I did. And it seems like they're got a pretty good battle going. I can't tell which 3 of them together there, but they're all still dicing up. You see a lot of battling going on. Back to what you were just talking about with Josh. He's been stepping his way up, and that's something that anybody that's ever raced pro, when you get into that, when you get into pro class, it's almost like there's stages that you go through. And people come out, very few people do what Walker did when he come out of XC2 and went into XC1, and within a year or two, he was knocking on wins. But the pro class, it's like you'll have a bunch of guys that you're 9, 10 guys, and then it's another level to get into your top 5 and then the top 3. And I think some of this, what's going on today, obviously Walker, he's got a fire burning and he's wanting to get back up in there. But with him and Josh together there for a little while, and Josh tried to latch on to him, that was something that I'll promise you, Josh will go back home today And he learned something today because he's seen Walker's been there and done that. And Walker had the sense of urgency. He knows what he had to do. He got to see what Walker's speed was like in a charge. And that's part of winning championships, winning races even, is to knowing to physically get yourself fit enough to be able to push at certain speeds, not for just a mile or two, but to do that for a lap or 2 or 3 if you have to try to make up a gap on a guy that's been out there winning 5 races in a row. And that's not easy. And that's all things to get in there and to win championships, to win races. It's a learning process that takes some time sometimes. And that's something, Josh, what you were just touching on there a minute ago, that's something that I'll promise you he learned from today, because he had full intentions of latching onto Walker. I'm going to stay with this guy.
Yep.
And he probably gave it everything he had. We don't know. He might have had some bike problems or something like that, but Walker is hanging it out, and he got to see that. So he knows that when he goes back, I've got some more work to do from around with these guys.
Well, but, you know, it's still positive steps. I mean, for Josh, you know, it's got to be a good feeling for him. You know, to be consistently in those podium battles and putting himself into position, obviously opening up the season with such a strong second place to Bryson Neal, and spending quite a bit of time, to your point, chasing Bryson Neal early in the race, seeing what he's doing, seeing how he's piecing it all together. Now here we are, round 5. We're starting to get into the meat of the season, and he's continuing to keep himself in these podium battles. Zach Heron joining us back in the booth. Zach, you know, racing action starting to get fast and furious. But we're seeing something that we haven't seen a lot of in 2024 so far, and that is someone making ground on Bryson Neal. What did you see when you're out there, and what are you looking forward to as this one comes together?
Let me tell you guys what. I don't know if you had the camera on it when Walker Fowler came into the pits, but that entire WFR racing crew is pumped, okay? Mark Notman, he's got the gas tank in there. I didn't even really know what he was saying, but they were yelling. I mean, going back and forth. I think as Walker Fowler released the clutch, had the throttle wide open, I think he was also yelling as he left pit road. The guy is fired up. Like you said, he doesn't just have a candle under his rear end. He's got a whole bonfire lighting him, charging forward. And I tell you what, I'm interested to see.
Whoa, wheel to wheel.
Battle is on. This is what it's all about right here.
Let's not get excited yet, because I can't not confirm that is Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler, but I think it is.
We got every eye that we have.
We're being told it may be. We cannot confirm that just yet, but it may be a wheel-to-wheel battle. That looks like Bryson. I can tell you right now, that is them, because nobody else is going that fast.
Exactly.
I'm telling you. And this is what we've been talking about. Bryson Neal on the back foot. All of a sudden, he's got to play defense. He tried to run away from it. Walker says, sorry, buddy, I'm chasing you down. Now we get to find out who's got what it takes. Some of that creativity going to come into key as well. There's those lap riders as well. So not only are they having to find ways around lap traffic, Walker Fowler's got to try to find a way around Bryson Neal.
Yeah, and, you know, this is one of those things where what do you need to do to stop the Bidwell Bullet is the question that everyone has been asking throughout all of 2023 and through the first 4 races of 2024. The answer right now is do exactly what Walker Fowler is doing. Get yourself to the rear wheels, see what he's doing, you know, and be there to race him. Sorry, can't. Mike cut out there for a minute, but you got to be there to race him. You can't let him get away. And right now, this is shaping up to be a mono. Wait a minute.
Hold on now. So there is the Bidwell Bullet out front. Now we don't see.
So that was not the battle for the lead that we were seeing, but it is still continuing to materialize because there is Walker Fowler. So still about that 12 to 14 second gap. That may have been another battle further back, and that is the struggle with the eye in the sky. It does not.
Hey, whoever that battle was, though, it is on. All right, I'm just saying, they are going for it.
I do think that may have been Josh Merritt there in the number 3 spot, and it's possible that one of the other could have been Wyatt Wilkin, could have been John Glada Jr., it could have been Hunter Hart. We don't know. We'll wait and we'll see. Hunter Hart, again, looking like he was throwing up quite a bit of smoke and or steam off that machine when they came through. So we'll wait and we'll see here at the 6 mile marker. Was that a new battle for 3rd? Was it a battle for 4th? They'll be coming through here at the 6 mile marker, but we may still get to see that battle for the lead because it still looks like it was around that 12 to 14 second range where we had seen it just a mile ago.
Well, and here's my question for 2 experts in the booth here with me. Okay, if you're Walker Fowler and you do catch up to the back of the number 1, we hear, Johnny, you talk about it a lot. You don't necessarily always want to be the guy out front. Does Walker Fowler just kind of hang out for a little bit, or because it's Bryson Neal, does he say, hey, I'm here, I need to get around and make the move right now? What's y'all's opinion?
My opinion, I think Neil's been the guy out there winning, okay? Walker, he's gone through some things. Everybody knows that he's gone through some injuries and things. He's now getting back to where he was at. And to get back up and charge back up to catch Neil from where he was at, that's a step right there. And to get out there,
real quick, Josh Merritt on screen, he's all alone in third. So that was not the battle for third. It may have been the battle for fourth. We'll get an update here in a minute. Go ahead, Bill.
But to be able to get there, and I think for Walker, he needs to get out there right behind him, check him out a little bit, see what's going on. They still, Neil has been out there winning races, and Walker, it's kind of a starting over thing from him, because you go through injuries like that, and you've got to get back up to where you once was to begin with.
Well, and to your point that you were just talking about those steps in pro racing as well, that was kind of my question, is the next step just to beat Bryson Neal, or is the next step to even finish in sight of Bryson Neal? I mean, it was clear Walker's pretty disappointed with second place, but at the same time, just being on the rear wheel got to be a bit of an accomplishment for chasing down the number one at the moment.
Well, I feel like it's situational. I feel like if Walker's really feeling himself, and again, he still has not yet. So this is, I believe, the battle we were watching, and it is right now Hunter Hart there in the number 4 spot with heavy pressure from behind, which either John Glaude Jr. or Wyatt Wilkin, one of those two. But the battle, here it is, and it is the battle, and Wyatt Wilkin with a lot of pressure on Hunter Hart. So that was the battle that we saw from the drone there. Hunter Hart in that 4th place spot, and Wyatt Wilkin badly wanting to take it away, sitting in 5th. And here is the 712 of John Glaude Jr. In that number 6 spot, but very much inside of the top 5, and the podium not too far gone. Bryson Neal has gone through there at the 7-mile marker. Now it's Walker Fowler. Gap still looking to be in that 15-second range. So nothing gained, nothing lost. It seems like they're kind of at a stalemate at this time. Again, situational. I think if you're Walker Fowler, and that is still a big if at this point, if you can get to the rear wheels of Bryson Neal, I think maybe you take that opportunity based on how you're feeling to kind of, regroup a little bit, kind of follow his lines, figure out what he's doing, latch on, and then when I say situational, does Walker Fowler have a spot on the track picked out? Does he have a line? Here's the battle right here over 7th place, and that is Stephen Harrell has just wrestled that spot away from Ronnie Rush, the 714, and the number 8 doing battle, 2 former XC2 champions, going toe-to-toe, actually our previous 2 XC2 champions, getting out there, getting it done, and they're absolutely on rails today in that number 7 and 8 spot. But yeah, it's all based on how he feels and whether or not he has a spot. Now, if you're Bryson Neal, you're surely not going to let Walker Fowler around, but also at this point, Bryson's probably giving it everything he has to try to maintain that gap. If Walker is able to get to the rear wheels, it's almost also an opportunity for Bryson to relax a little bit, because it's like, all right, no gap. There's no point in me trying to kind of sprint at this point. He's likely going to find some spots in the track where he knows Walker can't make a pass, catch a breath, get a drink, and prepare himself for that last lap of battle.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle indeed. Those two guys, I mean, you talk about fitness, you talk about intensity, they're usually some of the top 2 names that come up. And so going to be very interesting to watch. Looks like that is Merritt on screen. Still having a super solid race in no man's land there, kind of by himself, not under any immediate pressure.
I got to tell you guys, seeing Josh Merritt come out and do what he did at round 2 was not at all surprised. He's been putting in the work. He's been, again, we talked about a little bit ago, Bill, those steps, getting himself into the mix for top 5 week in and week out toward the end of the season last year. Big career accomplishment for him to earn that number 5. But then now to come out this season, open up the season with the 2nd place, I got to be honest with you, I'm not going to name names, but there was a lot of guys on and off the track who said, we'll see if he can back that up. And that's not, that's not so much macho bravado as it is, this is a guy that wasn't a week in and week out podium guy. So when you come out and you get second the first round, it's like, hey, was that a fluke? Man, we're 5 rounds in, and Josh Merritt has been there week in and week out. He is currently, without question, the 3rd best guy on the track every time they go to the races lately.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like he's got pressure behind that name either. He seems comfortable in that 3rd fastest spot right now. He wants to be fighting tooth and nail, as there looks like Hunter Hart has secured that position around Wyatt Wilkin. But yeah, it's just been, even when I see him off camera, no microphone in hand, just walking through the pits, like I said, his kind of, we'll see how it goes demeanor at the beginning of the year, always, positive, hopeful, but now it's like, no, we're here to do business. We're here to get on the podium, and he is trying to do just that. As we take a look at this Yamaha Racing Live drone,
Bryson Neal on screen, that is your leader, and that is a full push sprint right there. Bryson Neal probably going to take a look over to his right and see where is the 7-2-3. How much of a gap do I have on Walker Fowler? And I may have been Walker going the other way right there. But there comes Walker now. So it looks like that gap actually has opened back up now. So it's easy to see, time that can be gained can also be lost very quickly. Lapped riders, just maybe it's Bryson Neal just picking up the pace just enough that Walker Fowler's push, as strong as it was, Bryson Neal got the word from the crew and put the hammer down, and looking like now that gap starting to open back up. We'll get a true check-in with the transponders here in just a couple of miles, and we'll know exactly what the gap is. But for the moment, looking like it may have opened up a little bit from that 13, 14 seconds that it was just a few miles ago.
Curious to watch here as it looks like Neal's got some lap traffic in front of him. I mean, just so efficient. Now, that rider did a great job of getting out of the way as well, but, I mean, kind of having to force the issue, make passes going on. How frustrating is that? I mean, it seems like every second's an hour out there, especially if you're in the lead. You get behind somebody, and in some of these tighter sections, there's nowhere to go. You're essentially just caught in the lapper's pace, if you will.
Yeah, it's, and it gets frustrating because in the last lap and a half, 2 laps, you start getting into lappers. Sometimes luck does take it away from you because you can ride your heart out, and if you catch 2 or 3 riders in the wrong spot, the guy in front of you catches them in a good spot where they can immediately get out of the way, you can lose 30, 45 seconds in a half a mile. So that also plays, but you have to just keep the charge and keep pushing, because sooner or later the odds are going to flip over and it's going to be reversed, and you're going to catch a few lappers good and maybe make that time back up.
That was an interesting little
that was not a lock in, a clock in.
It looked like he was reaching down and doing something, possibly with his left hand on the right side of the machine. Don't know if he was trying to maybe just get a water hose to get a drink. It was hard to tell, but it was a very awkward looking motion there. So looking like it was 28, so it's about 23 seconds to gap back up to. So we saw it down as low as about 14, now back up to 23. So it's kind of the battle of the gap right now. Bryson Neal has it. Walker Fowler trying to shave it down 23 seconds. It was as high as at one point Walker Fowler was in third to complete lap number 1 and would have been about 40 seconds behind Bryson Neal. Got it all the way down to 14 seconds. Now Bryson has stretched it back out to 23 seconds. But Zach, your point, lappers looming large. This track not offering a ton of passing opportunities. Lap riders right now doing a good job, at least of what we're seeing on the Yamaha Racing Live drone, of getting out of the way, letting the race go by. But something changed there in just those few miles. Was it the pace and intensity of Bryson Neal? Was it a lapper that held up Walker Fowler? We don't know, but the gap jumped back up about 10 seconds after Walker had been kind of slowly shaving away at it.
And I tell you what I find interesting is both of these guys are by themselves in the sense of they're not keen off of one another. They're not really getting any information until they see a pit board. That's got to be real difficult. I mean, obviously they're riding as hard as they can, but you go, you put in a hard charge, then to the next lap time or the next pit board, you see you've lost a couple of seconds. How frustrating can that be when you're somebody like Walker Fowler? You're charging as hard as you can, but every time you see a pit board, now what you have worked up, you've lost because of a lapper or something like that.
It really is just that. It's a mental battle. You can work so hard, and it's so hard to gain 5 seconds, but it's so easy to lose it, and sometimes it can be something completely out of your control. Lap rider tags a tree in front of you, but it's just one of those things. The more times you put yourself in that situation, the more you learn, and the more you can kind of almost sense what it is that those guys are going to do, and you have to anticipate the lap riders. You have to not make the mistakes, and look at this full push pace from 2 GNCC champions going toe-to-toe. Countless wins between these two, and between the two, look at that, lapped rider right in front of Walker going into the woods, and all of those little seconds add up. Man, this is going to be a wild one this last lap.
And I know that following section was a real tight 180. There's not really any alternate lines there, so Walker more than likely going to have to kind of just funnel in and make a pass in the following seconds. But like you said, it takes 15 minutes to make up 5 seconds. It takes sometimes even less than that for it to all just disappear.
It takes 15 minutes to make up 5 seconds, and it takes 5 seconds to lose 5 seconds. That's the reality of it. And, as much as we saw right there, it looked like Walker Fowler definitely the loser on that lapper exchange. That said, 100 yards further down the trail, Bryson Neal, it could flip-flop so quickly. And when it seems like it's all going your way, it typically does. And when it seems like it isn't, it just doesn't. It's easy to say, but sometimes it's just that kind of get the ball rolling. Once the snowball starts rolling, it's hard to stop. And right now, a lot of lap traffic, though, we're seeing come by here at the 1 mile marker. So Bryce and Neal going to have to navigate all these guys. Walker Fowler going to have to do the same. Who's going to be able to do it better, and who's going to be able to do it quicker?
Now, another expert question here for you. Your first couple lappers that you're getting into, they're on the backside of the field, all right? Probably a little bit slower. Maybe some riders that are injured, having mechanical issues, more rolling around the track. But as the laps wear on and you get into the thicker portions, some of these guys are in a battle of their own. What is more difficult to get around? A rider that's in the midst of a battle, or a guy who's just kind of maybe going a little bit slower, but also a little more likely to take a look over the shoulder?
Oh, yeah. The guy that's in a battle with somebody, he's not worried about what's going on behind him. He don't care about that pro rider coming. He's wanting to beat that guy that he's racing with. So he's not paying attention at all. A lot of times the guy's just out there by himself, and he's wore out. He's just waiting for that checkered flag, and he hears something come ripping up behind him. A lot of times they're out of the way before you even get there.
Yeah, they're probably waving you on. Go ahead, lap me. I don't need another one.
They're glad to see you a lot of times, because that just means that's one lap they're not going to have to run. But the hard part is what y'all was hitting on there just a minute ago, to keep the push going, because you can have a full-on run like we've seen Walker have here today, and you catch one lap and you're 15 seconds. You can keep that charge going and catch a few lappers wrong that he's caught right, and you can fall back 35, 40 seconds, and you're thinking, what's happened now? He's just kicked another gear, and it was the lappers, and that's the mental toughness part, to say it could be lappers that's going on. I've got to keep my push going, because you don't know what's going to happen in those laps to come, or in the miles to come, and all it takes, it's like Johnny said, it takes a long time to gain 5 seconds sometimes, but sometimes in a section like this where it's one line, you come up on a lapper and he's caught a tree or something, you can lose 30 seconds right there and never even spin a tire.
Well, I can't help but assume this old school track layout that you were talking about earlier, it's even less likely to catch a lapper at a, quote, good time, right?
Whoa, guys, we got a big shake up here. It was 47. It is now, so it was 1:32.47. Looks like he's got it down back under 20 seconds, about 18 seconds. And listen to this, when they checked in with scoring complete that lap, and our scoring goes down, it was 27 seconds. He's now got it down to 18, so he's made up 9 seconds to 1 mile. That said, we saw how quickly it can go one way. It can just as easily go the other way. But when you're at under 20 seconds, that's catching a lapper in a wrong section one time. And to your point, you asked, Zach, what's worse, catching a lapper by himself, or is it catching a group? The worst is when you're catching a group battling and you get by the guy in the back, and now he thinks you're the guy that he's been battling with, and you're back there hooting and hollering and revving. At some point, it just gets wild.
Well, it is getting wild for sure, as the white flag is out. Bryce and Neal trying to bring it home and continue the streak, but Walker Fowler trying to chase him down. We're going to get a word from our sponsors, and we will be back. This is the Dunlop Tires Old Gray GNCC.
When I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sorts you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
It's bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dunlop Tires Old Gray GNCC. Getting a little taste of that beautiful Tennessee foliage that we've had. We didn't get to see a ton of it on Friday, but we've got a ton of it here today. Zach Herron alongside Bill Balance and the Johnny Gallagher calling the action up here in the truck. Bill, man, it has been a pleasure to have you up here, an honor and a privilege as well. Some great insight that we've been able to give to the racing as well. Any farewelling thoughts before you head off to the finish line to see how this thing wraps up?
I couldn't have picked a better place to come and watch this race. I've got to see it all unwind right here, so I couldn't have seen near that much out there on the track. So I'm grateful to be here, and it's been good to be back with you guys and be a part of it. I'm just anxious now to get down here and see what the end of this race is going to be like.
Absolutely,
well, there
I'm
you go,
far behind you.
That's a Racer TV commercial right there. Bill Balance had an opportunity to be at the races and chose to be in the studio so he could watch the feed live, and you've got that opportunity at home, tuning in every week on Racer TV. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. It was really turning back the clock to have you in here. We hope you'll try to make it out to some races in the future, and if you do, hope you grace us with your presence in the booth again.
Sounds good. I'd love to.
Absolutely, guys. There, Bill Balance hanging out with us, calling some racing action, and we have had an action-packed weekend out here at the Old Gray, a debut weekend, which means we got to bring out all the stops, right? We've got fan fests going on, we got concerts going on as well. Give you a little taste of what we had in store yesterday. Now, the EMTB race, that was only a part of the action. We also had our first night of concerts going on. Some great performances from the Scarecrows, and of course the Old 60 as well. Man, what a crowd! What a fantastic performance from those guys as well. My inner musician was happy. Everybody was cheering. Look at that turnout. It's what it's all about, man. We talk about the GNCC family. Big shout out the Scarecrows and of course Old 60 joining us last night on the Old Gray stage. And man, it was, I mean, you felt like you were at a music festival out there. Jackson and myself hanging out. Look at the overhead shot. Everybody hanging out to have a great time here. And then of course Landers KTM opening up the grand opening right here. And look at that. Everybody who's anybody you see, your points leader up there. You got Johnny Gerard. You got everybody checking out the race shop. Man, I was, and of course, who's this guy? My motocross, my inner motocross guy is happy. Ryan Dungy out hanging out, signing autographs, meeting the fans. We tried to convince him to come out and race tomorrow. I don't know how that went. We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, there's a good old Ben Kelly hanging out. There's your points leader right now. He's, look at that, feeling calm, cool, and collected, ready to do battle tomorrow as well. And of course, you've got the 250 sides of things as well. Landers Racing KTM joining us here in 2024. And man, they came in full steam, dove into the deep end, and are hanging tough with all of the rest of the team. So make sure if you guys are right here in Monterey, Tennessee, you check out Landers KTM. And man, the Old Gray GNCC, it's the first, but I hope it's not the last stop out here. A great time. a great facility, and some great racing to go along with it. Looks like we're going to take a look at the way the points are breaking down here. So it is Bryson Neal leading the way, 120 points out front. Walker Fowler just behind, 96 points on the board, and Josh Merritt rounding out the top three with 78 points. A little spread out here, guys, but it is far from over as we're really getting the meat and potatoes of this 2024 season.
Yeah, and if Bryson Neal gets the win today, he inches that much closer to that magic number of 30, which is a one-race lead. Right now sitting with a 24-point lead. So he needs 6 more points. It would be 5 over Walker Fowler today, taking that tally to 29. But flip the script. If Walker Fowler can track him down, make the pass, and grab the win, he chips away 5 points at that 24-point gap as it stands now. Man, it's really starting to get interesting. But if you're Walker Fowler, Josh Merritt, Adam McGill, all the rest of these guys, you got to figure out a way to stop the Bidwell bullet.
Well, and you can't help but think about what Bill Bounce was saying a little bit earlier. It's all about taking those proper steps. I think if you can break the momentum of Bryson Neal, if Walker Fowler can get back up to it and grab the win, who knows, man? I might start playing mental games. I know Bryson Neal spent a lot of time chasing after Walker Fowler. Then, not to mention the confidence that's going to come with Walker Fowler. There's the man right on screen. Coming out of Ohio, 7-time GNCC champ with 74 overall wins. That's not luck, folks. All right, I promise you there is a lot of time and effort coming into that, and he is desperately trying to make that thing the Sweet 75.
The Sweet 75, and that would be a huge number because that would tie the all-time winningest GNCC rider. Chris Borich, also out there. We did know he had some struggles today, looking like he retired early with some bike issues, but currently sitting with 75 wins. If Walker Fowler can get that done today, the next race at any point moving forward in his career, he will tie Chris Borich for the most GNCC wins of all time. And you know, if you're Walker Fowler, you don't want to wait another 2 weeks. You want it to be today.
It's so interesting to you guys bring that up. It's something that, and Johnny can attest to this, there was a point where we thought Walker Fowler, I was talking 100 wins for his career. He was just, the guy was automatic. It was like, Walker's going to win today unless something happens to his machine or him or otherwise. Things change. Changing of the guard. Bryson Neal, national champ the last couple of years. Obviously, Walker Fowler with the gnarly injury, but he's back. And still a chance to make history is pretty daggone incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. A chance to make history. But again, like you pointed out, at that point, there was a talk of, can he do 10 championships? Yeah. Can he win 100 races? And it didn't seem out of the realm of possibility. Sure. Enter Bryson Neal.
Yes,
and suddenly things change up a little bit. Obviously, those guys splitting wins early in 2021 quite a bit. Ultimately, Bryson Neal, the one getting injured. Yeah. Walker Fowler went virtually uncontested the rest of the season in 2021, winning that championship, and then in 2022, this guy right here on screen, winning his first championship, coming up, backing it up again, minus Walker Fowler in 2023, who was injured. Hunter Hart, kind of the biggest competition last year, taking a couple wins away from Bryson Neal and ending up in that number 2 spot. And this gap, I believe, has grown a little more now. Not huge, but I think we're up probably in the 25-second-ish range. So it had come down, and now it looks like it's going back up. We may not get to see this wheel-to-wheel battle, but we're only at the 6-mile marker. We got about almost 4 miles of racing left, so we'll see. Anything is still happening.
So here's the question, Johnny. I would consider you to be a friend of Walker Fowler's, right? You guys know each other on a personal level. Is he going to be satisfied with this? And this is no slight to Walker. Obviously, having a great race, didn't get the best of starts as well, so was able to make passes quickly, but he was fired up at the end of the race last year. I know Jackson's over there just preparing for what's to come. What exactly do you think the mindset's going to be when he crosses the line if, and I'm saying if, he doesn't get around the number 1?
What do I think it is going to be, or what do I think it should be? Those are two very different questions. I think Walker's going to be pretty frustrated. I think he learned a little bit last round, and I think he'll probably, although he'll be a little emotional, a little fired up, I think he'll try to say the right things. Not that he said the wrong things, but he definitely wore his emotions on his sleeve 3 weeks ago. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But in this game, there's a lot of mind games that go on, and you want to thank the sponsors and say, I'm just happy to be here riding my 4-wheeler. I'm really, appreciative for this opportunity, kind of a thing. But I kind of like what we saw from Walker 3 weeks ago. The only difference is I think he was a little too down on himself, whereas today, frustration may come into play, but man, the guy's ridden lights out at one point upwards of 40 seconds down on Bryson Neal, and then has gotten it down to that 15-20 second range and kind of kept it there. But man, Bryson Neal is just so good right now. You can't spot him 2 inches, let alone 40 seconds at any point in the race. And when I say spot him, he earned those. He fought for him. He got that lead. He did everything right. He got the good start. Walker Fowler battling inside the top 3 there in the start, shoved into the hay bale all the way to the back. Had to fight, but I think the takeaway for Walker should be, I had it today. Not the win, but I had the stuff to battle Bryson. We've seen that all day long. If he's not able to actually bring that to fruition and completion, whether that be a wheel-to-wheel battle or a win or whatever, I still think you got to put that little confidence chip in the purse, the coin purse, if you will, and say like, hey, I had it. We just need to get some better starts and move forward.
And you bring up a good point, even regarding his interview at the last round. He is not a blame game guy, right?
No.
It's not, oh, it was the tires, it was the bike, it was this. He honestly sometimes will put more on himself than he probably even should. He has some mishaps, he has things, just bad luck, if you will, but he is a guy that believes that, hey, I'm a multi-time champion, multi-time race winner. This is all on me, and I should have what it takes to get the job done. So I think that's a stand-up sign of character, right? He doesn't ever put his team down. He's always grateful for the support, but he puts a lot of pressure on himself and has a lot of expectation as to what he can do out here in the XC1 class. This guy, though, and I've loved to see it, he's starting to get that little burden of expectation on himself as well. Josh Merritt, and I guess that's a kind of a privilege, right, that comes along with being a consistent podium guy, is you get a little bit of expectation, even if it's not from your team, can't help but start to expect it from yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you're Josh Merritt, I mean, I don't know what happened there that allowed Walker Fowler to get that big gap all at once. Was it a mistake from Josh? Something happened with the bike? You know, we don't know. We're not out there. We have a lot of camera shots. We got the drone, and it's awesome. But that's really the only thing to me that Josh could and should work on from the day today, because I think he really had an opportunity there to, as Bill put it, learn something, kind of go to school. But, man, he's learned a lot. And what he's learned is that he is a podium guy right now. Look at this. It looks like Wyatt Wilkin has made the pass on Hunter Hart. Hunter Hart now relegated back to the number 5 spot. There is Wyatt Wilkin in the number 4 spot, taking a long look over his shoulder at the number 2 of Hunter Hart. Hunter Hart taking a look back, which may be the 712. It is not, of John Glauda Jr. He was back there just a few miles ago, but it looks like he is maybe fallen a little further off the pace, sitting back there in what would be the number 4, 5, 6 spot for John Glauda Jr.
Man, Johnny, what do you do if you're Hunter Hart at this point? Like, he's my buddy. I don't want to upset him, but I'm going to say it. The wheels are kind of falling off for Hunter Hart right now. How do you regroup in this situation and come back and say, okay, let's put these 5 rounds behind us? He could still make a pass. He could still get up in there right now. But it's certainly not going the way Hunter expected it to, or I think anybody watching GNCC at home expected it to for him. How do you rebound from this, silence the naysayers, and get back to what you know you're good at?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just being honest with yourself, and I don't claim to know anything about what's going on inside Hunter's head, you know, with his fitness, his program, whatever's going on, because he's riding well. I mean, he's sitting there inside the top 5. Most of the field would be ecstatic with that. That said, that's subpar performances for Hunter Hart. And as much as it is kind of cruel to say, it's becoming the norm in 2024. We've seen him off of the podium now looking like 4 of the 5 races. That becomes a norm. That's a trend. That's not luck. That's not bad things happen. Yes, he had a mechanical at 1, but 3 of the other 4, you know, is not good numbers when you're trying to battle for a championship. Coming in as the number 2, you know, wanting to be the guy to take the fight to Bryson Neal, I think from the outside looking in, Bryson Neal, Walker Fowler, seeming like Bryson Neal kind of out there by himself, Walker Fowler throwing everything at it to try and track him down. But frankly, Josh Merritt is third best guy right now based on what we've seen. Not just this race, not just a few races. Like, he's earned that spot. He has displaced Hunter.
Not a fluke.
Hunter is not the guy that's in the mix with Bryson and Walker right now. Now, does that mean that he couldn't come out at the next race and blow everybody's doors off? But he needs to go back and do something different, because what he's doing right now, it's something's not firing on all. Bad start today, and I gotta say, I'm sure he used a ton of energy coming through the pack, but to get up to that number 4 spot and then relinquish it back to Wyatt Wilkin, it looks like Wyatt right now is the guy on the charge, and another rider who had a podium earlier in the season, and it's just, that's just it. There's so many guys, they're hungry, they want that spot. You just can't rest on your laurels. You've got to go out there and fight for it week in and week out, and that's I don't know. I think if you're Hunter Hart, you got to spend some time alone looking at things and figuring out, when I'm on my best, what am I doing and what am I doing different than I am right now, because it's just not going his way.
Well, and I can't help but wonder, Johnny, you always say confidence breeds results, breeds confidence. It's got to go the other way as well, though, right? Especially coming into the season. Cole Richardson not joining us full-time here this season. We all said, oh, man, it's Hunter Hart's opportunity. Step up to the plate.
National number 2 on the machine.
And take a swing, and then all of a sudden the results don't come at round 1. Okay, we're going to shake it off, but we got to show up to round 2. Oh, wait a second. We don't have the luck we want to run two. Yeah. With every passing round, the need to perform gets a little bit tougher, a little more pressure. And so, yeah, I think much easier said than done up here in the tower. Shake it off, right? Fresh start. But nonetheless, definitely got to be a regrouping, because I can't help but whether or not think maybe a little mental block, right? Almost start to get in your own way at some point, because we know Hunter Hart's got what it takes to run up front.
And maybe it's one of those things, we go back to a track, not the race, but the track where he got his first XC1 win, Ironman, which will be the Hoosier, but nonetheless, that's got to kind of give you the confidence boost. Hey, I've done it here before. I know it's the race in the fall, a little different, but nonetheless, if I'm Hunter Hart, I'm throwing darts at a dartboard. Like, what's working right now? How do I make this click?
But to your point, you asked that question. Throwing darts at a dartboard at a lot of times is the worst thing that you can do. Like, and here's why.
Like, unless you're a dart player.
Right, yeah, of course. But then you want to be throwing all bullseyes. It blows my mind that those guys can do that every time. I'm lucky to hit the board. That said, I need, like, there's the three-point line in basketball.
Yeah.
I need, like, the kids line for darts.
Oh, that's fair.
Just so I don't put holes in the wall at friends' houses. That said, Hunter Hart has, you pointed out, has all the tools.
Yeah.
He's proven, he's got the machine, he's got the program, he's got all the things to run up front, to win races, to be number 2, to be number 3. I mean, coming into the season, I think a lot of the people that are kind of students of the game, students of GNCC racing, said, okay, we know Bryson Neal's the favorite, but kind of who is it? Is it Hunter Hart or is it Walker Fowler?
Right.
Like, Walker was hot late in the season, but Hunter was hot early in the season, then warm throughout the middle, was right there, was the next best guy. Who's going to come out on top of those two? And it really hasn't been a battle between them at all. Walker's been worlds ahead of Hunter pretty much every race, and Josh Merritt now displacing him. So it's not throwing darts at a dartboard. It's being honest with yourself and saying, okay, what's different? Is it my mindset? Did we change something with the bike? Throwing darts at a dartboard kind of throws like, hey, let's try some things.
Yeah,
I'm not sure trying things is the best thing. Like, somebody's got to have a notebook. Who's got a notebook? And who's been taking notes? And what were we doing when we were battling Bryson Neal?
Yeah.
And what was working then? Let's do that again and see how that goes.
I like it. We're rooting for you, buddy. I know Hunter Hart's going to go back. He's going to watch. He wants to learn. You want to see him up there in the fight. We want to see these guys challenging Bryson Neal, because the man has just been absolutely automatic through 4 races and almost a 5th in about 8 minutes time.
Yeah, we're just clicking off the miles. He's now at mile marker number 7. 9.8 is the track, so 2.8 less than 3 miles of racing action left, and running out of time for the 7:23. And again, it looks like Bryson Neal just getting through these lappers very, very cleanly. Walker Fowler's showing some struggles there at times, and the gap just kind of opening back up. We saw it down as little as 13 seconds. When they checked in last lap, it was 19 seconds. We saw it back down maybe around 15 about mid-lap, but now it looks like it's opened up even further. At this point, you don't want to give up on it if you're Walker Fowler, but it may be a bridge too far to cross. With just a few miles to go, it's looking like now we're upwards of 20 seconds, approaching 30.
Well, gentlemen, we're only a few miles away. That means it's time for me and Jackson to head down, get ready for these post-race interviews. Who knows how it's going to come across? Who knows what we're going to hear? But I'm excited to see how it all wraps up.
There you go. Zach Heron, Jackson Burrell heading down to get some post-race interviews for us. And man, yeah, Johnny, it's one of those things. I think if you're Walker Fowler, or any of the guys in the XC1 right now, Bryson Neal's got the starts figured out now. That's terrifying. And obviously has the rest of the race figured out. He's been perfect. I mean, not exaggerating. He's been, by definition, pretty well perfect these last couple of rounds.
Yeah.
So if you're Walker Fowler, you've got to be perfect. Josh Merritt, Hunter Hart, Wyatt Wilkin, I don't care what your name is. You literally at this point cannot make a mistake. You've got to be at the top of your game from flag to flag.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. I mean, it's, what do you want to do to take the fight to Bryson Neal? You got to get a good start. You got to be there the whole entire race, and you got to hope that he gives you an opportunity to try to beat him, because right now, every time somebody puts in the work, gets close, it looked like Walker Fowler was on a charge at round 1. We saw Josh Merritt, kind of matching him move for move, and he's just so on point, so accurate, so perfect that he just takes away all those opportunities, and next thing you know, the gap just opens up a little more.
This is something special. When we are knocking on the door of that halfway point of the season, a couple of rounds yet before we'll get to that with a 13-round season this year. But, boy, nonetheless, Bryson Neal's looked good through all 5 rounds. Not much left of this one. I'm not saying that word, but this charge or this run that Bryson Neal is on is very reminiscent of that 2017 run that Walker Fowler had, where it was just like, okay, he's going to win unless something happens, or unless Johnny Gallagher, we can convince him into putting on his gear and going out and stealing one from him.
There was a meme someone put.
That was in the back of my head as I was saying this.
There was a meme someone put on social media that said, nice win streak you have there, Bryson. It'd be a shame if someone messed it up. And it was a picture of me. Guys, I appreciate it. I honestly don't know who made it. But that said, I'm going to leave that. I pass that torch to Walker Fowler, Hunter Hart, Josh Merritt, all those guys. I understand we're not talking about it, but do I think Bryson Neal's going to go perfect? I don't.
I don't either.
And it's not to say that he couldn't.
I've wised up over the years.
He clearly has the speed. He has the racecraft. He has the program.
Things happen.
But, man, there's just so many variables out there. Not to mention, you've got a highly motivated 7-time champion who is doing everything in his power to try to close the gap, and at times today was able to do that. But right now, Bryson Neal has had an answer for everything everyone on the starting line in XC1 is throwing at him, and looks like he's doing it again today. You can see, and that's one of those things, when everything's going your way, it's just going your way. Those lap riders were so far ahead of him, but still they were just like, no, man, we don't want to go another lap. They're pulled over, they're pulled to the side. And we'll see what that gap is. But at this point, it really is just clicking off mile markers. And I think, barring a mistake from Bryson or some unforeseen circumstances, Walker Fowler was in that chicane last lap when he was here, so the gap has definitely opened up. It's looking like Bryson is kind of on the home stretch for this one.
It's like watching. With Bryson Neal, man.
Lap riders.
Poor Walker is in the thick of it right now. Bryson Neal, like watching him today where it was Walker kind of chipping away at that gap, and then it's almost as if B. Neal got the pit board that said 723's coming, he's gaining time on you, and he wicked it up. It reminds me, I know apples and oranges, don't at me in the comments section, but Pro Motocross, was it last year or the year before with Jet Lawrence?
Yeah.
Where he would have these leads, and you'd think, oh, here comes second. And then it was like something clicked in Jet Lawrence, and then he pulled back away. Bryson Neal's got a very similar style here in GNCC on the ATV side, where it's like, just when you think you might have him, you got that fish on the line. No, you don't.
I would agree with that statement, but I would also throw in the mix, to find out what someone's capable of, you have to push them.
That's very true.
So, to be honest, throughout the entirety of 2023, Bryson Neal rode around in his comfort zone.
Very true.
No one gave him anything. The races that he didn't win were because of mistakes, mechanicals, whatever. No one raced him and beat him straight up.
Yeah.
So to find out what he's capable of, these guys got to push him. And right now, Walker Fowler has 3 of the 5 races thus far, at least shown him something to where Bryson couldn't just say, I'm going to run this pace, I'm not affected by anything around me. He's been close enough and actually putting pressure on and made Bryson step it up. But to Bryson's credit, he has answered with a loud, resounding boom of, yes, there's more in the tank. You want to find out how much more? Come at me.
Yeah, come at me. Yeah, come at me, bro. That's it. Yeah, Bryson Neal he's been, you can't say enough about him. It's one of those things where I know you guys are sick of hearing us talk about it, but it's also one of those things that
guys,
I think you have to watch and
yeah.
appreciate that generational talent you're watching.
You're watching greatness right now.
Yeah.
You're watching one of the best to ever do it.
Yep.
You know, yes, the win tally may not be up there with a Chris Borich or Walker Fowler or Bill Balance, but 2 championships and the confidence, the just the prowess that he has on an ATV and in the woods right now. I mean, he is at the peak of his game. He's the best he's ever been, and he's one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
He's just doing it so well. He's making it look seemingly pretty easy.
Yeah, I think when you throw him in that, I won't say Mount Rushmore, not yet. Maybe when he's done, he might flirt with that a little bit, but he's got a ways to go. He needs more championships, needs more wins, but the man's on his way, passing Bob Sloan, Ironman Bob Sloan. What was it, round 1 this year? He tied him at Ironman, I guess, and then passed him. So next would be Barry Hawk. He's got a pretty long way to go there.
Hold on, though. Look at this. The name's in front of Bryson Neal. So he is number 5 on the ATV wins list at 27, potentially just a few corners away from making it number 28. Name's in front of him. Barry Hawk.
Yes.
Bill Balance. Walker Fowler, Chris Borich. Guys, if you know anything about ATV racing, those are the 4 best to ever do it.
To ever do it. And how about it? Win number 28. The number 1 checks in, gets the checkered flag from Ricky Towery and Bryson Neal going for the Arby's 5 for 5, or is it the Wendy's 5 for 5? I joked about that earlier. With inflation, I don't think that's a thing anymore.
Yeah, no, we figured it out. He's going for the 5 for $15.75.
That's it. Yes. So love that. Let's see. Oh, hey, I got a message while we're watching Bryson Neal celebrate. Cole Richardson reminded me he is the king of the Mason-Dixon, and he will be racing that this year, and he's already put his stamp on it. He said, I'll win that one.
Oh, there you go.
So
what's it going to take to stop Bryson Neal? Cole Richardson throwing his hat, saying that he's going to be the guy. This guy right here threw everything at it today, came up through the pack, was able to get to number 2, and you can see that answers your question. If there's a little frustration, you can see that goggle removal. Not a super enthusiastic Walker Fowler, but nonetheless a phenomenal ride. Clash of the Titans here today with Bryson Neal coming out on top and Walker Fowler in the number 2 spot. What a come from behind ride, just barely coming up short there at the end. Respect right there.
Absolutely. For the old heads out there, and you kids should see it too, Groundhog Day. That looked like about the midway point of Groundhog Day, where Bill Murray keeps waking up to the same thing, and he's just frustrated at this point. That was Walker Fowler right there. Just, what do I got to do? And like we said, Johnny, it's you got to be perfect, but that's just easier said than done.
Yeah, no, and I think Walker did all that he could do from where he started from. Not making excuses, but it was what it was. I mean, I saw him backwards in turn number 3 facing the hay bale, and the entire XC1 field minus Hunter Hart and Adam McGill go around him. And at that point, I thought, man, I to be honest with you, I was kind of shocked to see him even on the podium so quickly, but to see him fight up to within 15 seconds of Bryson Neal there at points there, coming to the white flag. Great ride for him, but Bryson Neal, kudos to him. I mean, answered everything Walker Fowler threw at him and everyone else on the track. He has an answer for anything that comes his way right now.
Yeah, he's been absolutely sensational. Does Merritt hang on for 3rd?
He's got, we're a good back.
Pretty good gap.
Yeah, it was 154 back to Josh Merritt, and then Hunter Hart 104 behind him, which we now know that is Wyatt Wilkin in the number 4 spot. And this is another one of those things. I've made no friends before the season when I said if Walker and Bryson start pushing each other, we're going to see 2-minute gaps back to the final rider on the podium. I upset my good buddy Josh. I upset Hunter. I upset a bunch of them. Guys, look at the race results so far in 2024. We're seeing a lot of that. But that said, you know, if you're Josh Merritt, podiums, baby, podiums. And he's getting closer. He was so good there early in this one. He was right there in the fight. You know, go home, take a look at the notes, figure out what happened there, how did I let Walker get away, work on that. But it's looking like with a pretty good substantial gap over Wyatt Wilkin there in the number 4 spot, we should expect to see the number 5 of Josh Merritt. That is actually him there on the left working his way through the trees. You can see him off there in the distance. Still got about one more chicane through the woods, and then he'll work his way down through these final couple corners, looking like he will hold on to that final podium spot. We'll see if we can get him. That's not him yet. He's still up in the woods, but we will see if we can get an interview with him as well as our winner, Bryson Neal, and our 2nd place finisher, Walker Fowler.
Talking with Merritt prior to today's race in the Monster Energy pre-race report. There he comes. Johnny was waving at him. No,
I said that. I got excited, and I was like, nope, that's not him.
But no, I brought up, because he's been known to say, if I ever get that win, I'm retiring. I go, that's changed, right? That's out the window. And there he is. There is Josh Merritt. We'll seal the deal on that 3rd place finish, a fist in the air. Still stoked on these podiums. This man's having fun this year.
A tale of 2 races. Walker Fowler dejected with the 2nd, Josh Merritt ecstatic with the 3rd, and that I think is dangerous because he's still living in the moment. He's loving it. He's on the box, and he's dang happy about it.
Yeah. But he said, Mikey, I might still retire if I were to win, say, Ironman at the end of the year. He said, but outside of that, I don't know. It's getting more and more real to me that I could potentially do this.
Oh, I mean, there's no question he can do it. There's no question he can get a win. I mean, another podium. I mean, come on, man. We're in round 5, and dude's got 3 podiums.
3 podiums. That's
By the way, kudos Josh Merritt. He officially tied my podium record for my it took me 23 years to get him, but we were talking the other day, and I said, Josh, this weekend you have an opportunity to tie my podiums. And he said, I don't care. I still don't have a win. I said, buddy, you keep doing that. You'll have that opportunity.
It's coming. I mean, it's there. And was that Wilkin?
Wyatt Wilkin in the
Wyatt Wilkin checking in 4th. And all right, with Wilkin checking in 4th, sounds like Zach Herron stands by with our winner, Bryson Neal.
Hey guys, thanks. Yeah, I'm down here. We got the post-race debrief going on. Bryson Neal, man, we threw a new place at you. All right, we said we're going to go somewhere. hasn't been before, the same result, man. Take us through the day and how good it feels to get another win.
Dude, this is this race today was true blue GNCC. You know, it was a throwback. We haven't had a race like this in a long time. It had some nitty gritty in there, some real technical riding, the rocks, the lay of the land. This place had a little bit of everything. It had some places that had super loamy dirt that just berm up, had rocks, it had long uphills, long downhills, winding fire roads. I mean, it had a little bit of everything, and we was really having fun. One, we got the whole shot again. That was huge, especially on a tight track like today. Well, in the last lap and a half, about the halfway point through lap 3, I lost my rear brakes and I had nothing the whole last lap and a half. And Walker was closing in there, and he must have made a mistake on the last lap because with the rear brake trouble I had, not being able to hit it hard and ride the bike how I wanted to the last lap. And man, I had some sketchy moments too, just trying to keep pushing the pace and not just like lay over and just trying to keep racing forward to my best ability. He must have made a mistake because man, it was tough. It was really tough to ride with no rear brakes on this track. It was so twisty, twiny, windy, turny, on and down, off camber. I mean, you really had to have rear brakes, and it made it really, really hard. But, dude, we're pumped. This is awesome. Bring home 5 in a row like this.
Absolutely, man. Got to be satisfied with the results. Yeah, we saw a lot of single track. Lap riders had to be pretty difficult. Not a ton of room to jump out as well. But you were able to make the damage done early, get the gap, and manage it from there. Like you said, a perfect season, man. What are you telling yourself going into the next round? Are you making big improvements? You got the crowd behind you, pumping you up right now. Everybody is stoked to see the #1 doing his thing out front. But what are you telling yourself after a race like this?
Just don't change nothing. Just keep on being me. Just try to be humble. Keep working hard. And you know, every race you're only as good as your last race. The famous saying in what we do in our sport. So you know, we just take it one race at a time. We work really hard at it. Try to be humble. You know, these wins don't come easy. It took me a long time to get here. So every moment we're trying to savor it with the family and the friends and everyone who we scrapped to get here and fought to get here, and we're going to hang on tight as we can for as long as we can and hold on this #1 plate.
The humility, man, I love it. I know you're not doing it by yourself. Who do you want to thank before I let you go?
I'd like to thank my dad first and foremost. You know, he's my right-hand man. Last 3 weeks, he's actually been off work a lot, and we've been hanging around the shop a little bit more, and it's been awesome. Been awesome having him home, having him out of the workflow, and just getting to hang out with him. You know, so it's been great. He's huge for my program. I wouldn't be where I'm at without him. So I got to give everything to him every single time I line up on the line. I'd like to thank David Eller and the entire Phoenix Racing Yamaha team. This 20th edition YFZ 450R is awesome. Thank you, Donnie Lucen, Yamaha, Blue Crew Racing, everyone at Phoenix, Lonnie and Heath and Gary, Wayne Eller, all the guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Dan and Brandon at DASA. My DASA engines and exhaust got me off the line again. Got 2 whole shots. That's awesome. So proud to showcase for you guys. CST tires, ZWT wheels, tire balls, Helka shocks, Impact Solutions tuned by Jay Goebel and Dustin Tyler and the gang. I'd like to thank Moose Racing Gear. This new gear that we unveiled today was absolutely phenomenal. Parts Unlimited, EKS goggles, the Chirbies, Motul Racing, 60 helmets, Alpine Star boots, anti-gravity batteries, Henson clutch components, anti-gravity batteries, Web intake cams, Wiseco pistons, Cometic gaskets, Sunstar chain sprockets, like I think BCC skid plates, DP Larry Mills at DP brakes, and like to honestly give a huge shout to all the fans today. They were awesome. That track was gnarly, and huge shout to my whole crew who comes with me. Justin Fallon, Troy Edelblut, Tyler Ward, Wayne Eller, Luke. My Uncle Mike, everyone who comes and supports me. Appreciate you guys. Love you.
There it is, guys. New track, same result. Bryson Neal makes it 5 for 5.
Bryson's having fun. It's,
folks,
scary.
It is Bryson Neal's world right now. Everyone else is just living in it. But it's cool to see. He's having a blast. And, man, dominant force on the track here today.
Yeah, you can't really just – it's really difficult to pick something that he's not doing well. If he is, he's certainly hiding it well.
Yeah, it was cool to see things get close, but Bryson Neal had an answer for it.
Yes, he did. All right, Jackson Burrell standing by with our second-place finisher, Walker Fowler.
Yeah, thanks, Mikey. I'm down here with Walker Fowler, our second place. Walker, I know you're wanting that win. You're hungry for a win, but nonetheless, still a second place. Take us through today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lot happier for sure than last race. I'm bummed. I rode. It's another race where the result doesn't show how well I rode, but you can't spot that #1 almost a minute and expect much out of the day. I got him down to, I could see him. And, man, as soon as I thought that, I'm like, there he is. I look ahead, and there's like 5 guys between us, and it was a single line section. He got it back to about 30, and man, I knew that I was going to have to really push it that last lap, and I made it about to the 2 mile, and I hit a rock really hard with the front wheel, and I think I bent the spindle, and I blew the right rear tire out. I was bonsaiing it. I was riding over my head, and at that moment, I was like, you know what? You get really slow down, and the bike's pulling really hard one way. Just get it to the finish line. So I did what I could, and I'm not happy. I had fun. I did have fun. I'm not happy with the result. I know there's more in the tank. We're getting better. We're getting closer. The start was almost there too, and I don't know if someone got into Austin Abney or if he felt like he could thread the needle in there, but I got sideways and into the hay bale, and I went from about 3rd, 4th to 8th, 9th, and I saw that Bryson got the whole shot again. I'm just like, son of a gun. Like, this is the exact opposite of what needed to happen, but I knew you could override the track. That first lap especially was so slippery, and I just was like, you cannot make any mistakes. Let it come to you. And, man, one by one, a guy'd hit a tree, a guy'd hit a rock and be off the track or fall off the bike. And I just started – I never passed it. I passed Wyatt Wilkin. That's the only person I passed. Everybody else made a mistake, and I was able to get around them. And all the way up to Josh Merritt. I made a mistake. As soon as I got around McClure, I made a mistake, and that cost me pretty big there, that first lap. And getting closer, though. Jackson, we're getting closer.
Walker, even with that tangle up there in the 3rd corner, you're still able to reel in Bryson a good bit. How do you feel going into the next round?
Yeah, man, I'm riding really good. The fitness is close. I definitely could work on some things, but been some other things in life I've had to focus on. So it's there, and he knows it's there. I need to be able to push him through that finish line or be in front of him. But it's going to take a good start, and it's going to be a dogfight to the end. So until I can prove that I am capable of that, number 1's going to be up front and hard to beat.
He's hungry, guys. That is Walker Fowler, your 2nd place.
Mikey, interesting takeaway from those 2 interviews. You know, from our perspective, we thought it was just a regular battle. Bryson Neal talking about losing his rear brakes after hitting a rock. Seeing that Walker Fowler was coming, thinking he wouldn't be able to do anything about it, and then saying Walker must have made a mistake. Then we hear from Walker saying, hey, I smoked a rock, I bent a spindle, I damaged my machine, and I just figured, okay, let's just get it to the finish line. So what looked like just a normal race to us, both of those guys on the last lap encountering serious bike issues that ultimately may have shaped the race.
Something else, those guys kind of knew, almost telepathy of, hey, something happened with the other guy, not sure what it was. All right, Jackson Burrell, I believe, standing by with our 3rd place finisher, Josh Merritt.
Yeah, guys, I'm here with Josh Merritt. Josh, another 3rd place up on the podium again. You have to be feeling very confident. Take us through today.
And it all started with that start. I knew it was going to be a tight track. I talked to Johnny about it, and my girlfriend Macy and Levi, we were kind of sat at the start after the morning race and kind of picked out, you know, what I thought it was going to happen, and it dried out, and I picked my spot, and I was super confident in it. Came out, I think 3rd off the whole shot, and you know, Chris got arm pumped that first lap. He let me by, and I just kind of tried to put in my laps. I got a pit board. Walker was coming, and sadly, he got by me in a line I didn't even see. I wasn't planning on letting him by, but I caught the back of him and was like, all right, lead man, take me to the finish line. And we were doing really good, and he took a line, I tried it, my rear end kicked out, hit a tree, I went flying off the 4-wheeler, lost my bar pad, I jumped back on, put my kill switch on, and took off, and I was just like, all right, just relax, you did good, the last couple of races, you got the speed, just stay confident, take it home. And I got a pit board at one point that the guys were about 30 seconds behind me, and I really just put my head down and really charged the last lap and a half, I felt like, and came away with the 3rd. Man, couldn't be happier. Another day on the podium is another day I want to be at the racetrack.
Josh, you look strong and steady the entire race. How do you feel going into the next round?
What is the next round? Do you know? Indiana, Hoosier. I'm feeling good. I normally don't do too good at Indiana, Ironman 1, 2. But hey, we're doing good this year. I'm going to come in with some confidence, and I ain't going to take any slack from anybody. So good day and ready for the next one.
He's ready to go. That's your third place, Josh Merritt.
How about that, Josh Merritt? He's where are we racing next? He said,
"Hey man, these guys live in the moment. You know, it's like you're not worried about the next race till you get through this one, and he just finished this one, so now he'll start thinking about what he's going to do 2 weeks from now. But you know, cool to hear Josh. You know, hey, I thought I could latch onto Walker, go to the front. We hypothetically figured out, like, what happened? Did he crash? Did he have a bike issue? There, you said it. Hooked a tree with the rear end, and bar pad goes flying, and so does he, and still able to keep it on the box, so a great day.
Doesn't matter. Still going to send it. Josh Merritt has been almost podium automatic to this point in the season, Johnny. And, yeah, I think it's getting to that point where it's, okay, Neal, Fowler, Merritt, who's going to challenge those three for podiums?
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, we're going to take a look at the Specialized race recap. A wild start to this one. There is the Bidwell Bullet. Coming into today, a perfect 4 for 4. Can he make it 5 for 5? Well, we know the result of that one. Yes, he can. And grabbing the whole shot as well. It was tight out front, and pandemonium just on the backside of that shot. It was Hunter Hart and Adam McGill getting into it, and then, of course, Abney and Walker Fowler as well.
Chris Borich up there early in the number 2 spot. Josh Merritt talking about him getting a little arm pump, but then it was Austin Abney exiting the race early, said he lost his rear brakes, tried to stop himself using his foot, ended up not being a good decision exiting this race. He'll go get checked out, but Josh Merritt able to latch onto the back of Walker Fowler there for quite a while, and then there was a torrid battle over that number 4 spot between John Glotto Jr., Hunter Hart, and Wyatt Wilkin, ultimately ending up putting himself in that position.
Walker Fowler found himself in that number 2 spot, battling that lap traffic throughout the day. There is Josh Merritt coming out of the barn area, and Bryson
Burrell's barn.
Burrell's barn, the Burrell barn. The GBC Tires pit stop, that was Bryson Neal getting a splash of fuel, getting some new goggles, going back to work, keeping a steady gap. And Walker Fowler trying to chip away at it. He did a great job there late, but as we heard in the post-race interviews with both Neal and Fowler, both guys having some troubles.
Yeah, and this was the spot in the race where we thought we were going to see, looked like Walker had the momentum. We thought we may see him close the gap up, but then it, you know, he just told you the tale of how things went down. Just kind of knew Bryson was putting in a push, just couldn't quite close it down the rest of the way, and Bryson Neal ultimately holding it all the way to the checkered flag.
B. Neal stays perfect after 5. We head to the Hoosier in a couple of weeks at the Ironman Raceway to see if Bryson Neal can stay perfect. 6 for 6 to start the year. But right now, we'll take a look here at your top 10. It was Neal, Fowler, Merritt, Wyatt Wilkin, a pass on Hunter Hart late in this one. Good work by him. Hunter Hart, as we talked earlier in the show, has got to figure something out here, get back up in the fight. Glotto, Harrell, Rush, McClure, and Adam McGill, the Gator, rounding out the top 10 here today, Johnny. Let's do it. Big takeaway from today, Johnny.
You know, the best of the best have thrown everything that they can at Bryson Neal, and so far he's had an answer for all of it. So my takeaway from today is the question, what's it going to take to stop the Bidwell Bullet?
My question is, what's it going to take for our buddy Hunter Hart to get back in the mix? He's got to hit that reset button. Things have just gone dismal from his perspective over these first 5 rounds now. He needs a podium at least. He needs to get up there in the fight with these guys. I think the Hoosier's the place where things finally start getting turned around for Hunter Hart.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things you come in with expectations. When you don't meet those, you got to go back to the drawing board, figure out what's working, what isn't, and make the adjustments.
Well, we'll be back tomorrow afternoon with the Pro Bike race, and then we'll head up to Indiana for the Hoosier GNCC for ATVs and the Pro Bikes on that Sunday. We've got those highlight recap episodes airing on, I believe, Wednesday nights throughout the season, so be sure to check those out and get those highlights of what has been going on throughout this season. But that is going to wrap things up for us here today. On behalf of Jackson Burrell, Zach Herron, Johnny Gallagher, how about it, Bill Balance? By the way, how cool was that to have Bill in here today?
You know, it was absolutely awesome to have him here. I got to spend a little time with him a few weeks ago at the Yamaha event, but to have him here in his, natural habitat, GNCC racing, one of the greatest to ever do it, and man, just absolutely awesome.
Love it. Our camera operators, JC, Matt, Josh, Mike, Leah, and Kirsten. Our drone pilot, Gabe Scholl. Our manager, Dan Reinhart. Our spotter, Hollywood. Our engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden. Our director, Don Hampton. Producer, Adam Gordon. And our executive producer, Carrie Jo Russell. I'm Mikey Waynes. We'll see you at the races.